Quick greetings. Quick is Algonquian for hello, as we always say. And we try to be repetitive. And so please keep that in mind as we attempt to pick up where we left off. And really, it is a reading uh, of the explanation of trust from the webpage that we found, and I think it's a good one. So we're going to look at that, but of course, we like to, keep it with some variety. So of course, we have to do our little review. So let's do a little bit of a quick review to, we want to kind of establish the legal footing where how we got here. How do we know that we are not supposed to be under the jurisdiction of the United States and the way that they forced jurisdiction upon us is by adhering to the doctrine of discovery. So what do we say? We are saying that every kind of contract that was made with any American Indian has to be void for fraud, has to be void due to extracurricular documents that have the effect of making the contract void. I'm trying to say that the best way I know how. But what it boils down to is the whole entire legal system of the United States, particularly when it comes to American Indians, but also basically entire thing is based on a church doctrine. So let's say that again, because we just want to be as clear as we can. Everything legally that has taken place since the United States was established in North America, every legal transaction, especially dealing with what we call the law. Our focus is American Indians, but the ramifications extend beyond the dealings with American Indians. So let's try to keep it on American Indians because that is what we are dealing with. Although I have to say that it has to extend beyond the dealings with American Indians, and it would affect immigrants because the immigrants have been effectively kept away from dealing with the true owners of the land. So that's what I mean when I say that the entire construct has to be void. So, one more time. We are dealing with a legal system that created itself based on a church doctrine. However, when dealing with the American Indians, we might say they went through the motions of legitimacy, legal legitimacy. They went through the motions of creating documents like the Constitution, all of the treaties, all of the laws. They even got some, namely civilized Indians, to think that they agreed to something. In truth, because the United States had a document in its quote unquote hidden hand, we might say. So, in one hand, the United States had the Constitution. That hand we all saw. But the hidden hand that we didn't see held the doctrine of discovery. What we didn't see is the reason we have to call fraud, contractual fraud. You came to me under the guise that you were creating a a set of rights, a legal system, the Bill of Rights, all of that. And this was a brand new thing, and it had nothing to do with any European monarchy because it was homegrown. But you didn't really do that. What you did was you used the same document that the foreign nobility used when they got here. You used it on the American Indians. They thought you were starting something new and you were getting rid of domination by powers of the church, because we could call the nobility powers of the church. So the effect of this, every single American Indian, civilized or uncivilized, got tricked. I'm going to say the civilized Indians got tricked as well, because I do believe they think that their documents are legitimate. They think that this is all good. We've done it in Christianity. We have the the quote unquote blessings of God and all of that. But I think what they are overlooking is it was conquest. You agreed to be civilized, but it was all conquest. What should have happened if it wasn't conquest is that only the civilized tribes would be changed. And the other Indians, the uncivilized Indians, mostly Algonkins, they would have been left alone. It's like, okay, we got a group of Indians who are all infiltrated with Moors, and they are agreeing to, our domination, which is going to happen anyway, whether they agree or not. We just need them to now influence the uncivilizing. So we're going to play nice with them. But the truth is, they are key. The civilized Indians are key factors when it comes to dealing with uncivilized Indians. What the civilized Indians are going to do They are ignoring the true history of American Indians, and they're replacing it with a Judeo-Christian based history, and they trace it to Mali. So that's how we know that the original civilized tribes were not Mongolian. Mongolian Indians would never trace themselves back to Mali. But if you go with what we're going to review today, I think we're going to get to the trusts. I hope. Well, I've seen we done started off with a lot to say here. We should just start sharing the screen. Let's share the screen. That's going to help move things along because um, it's just about I'm about to go in here. But to close the thought, everything that we see, anything that we sign as a contract, we know that it's void because they did not go by that contract. The biggest example of the United States not going by the contract is the fact that there's no such thing as Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, Indians not taxed. Everyone in the United States is taxed, including all types of Indians, uncivilized and civilized alike, although the uncivilized ones are called Black, and the civilized ones, they've gone underground because the civilized tribes now look very Mongolian, right? But again, the bottom line is everything, everyone is taxed. And when I say everything, what we learned is that trusts are taxed somewhere in the world of quote unquote legal trust. Trusts get they get taxed too. Everything gets taxed. But if they went by the contract or the constitution that they had with uncivilized Indians, we were not supposed to be taxed. So what are we saying? Again, we're saying the biggest example or the most notable example, the most visible example is that there are elements of the Constitution that no longer exist, such as Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, Indians not taxed. They don't exist. So what the tactic is you create an entity, shall we say, when you make the contract, like the Constitution. As the years go by, you slowly erase that entity, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, Indians. You call all Indians Black. And now the Mongolians get a new term, Native American, because they're completely going off. In other words, okay, let's do it this way, y'all. If you can follow, if they named the Native Americans American Indians, they would still have to go by the contract. You see, so the contract is being voided due to the parties being erased. There's no American Indians, and for security purposes, the United States created Native Americans to make sure that they don't even think about looking at that Constitution and finding themselves there. Those original American Indians are now called Black. And then because they created Black things, they had to create a new set of rights called civil rights. But when you create Black things, automatically you create white things, apparently. So now we have a civil law system or civil rights system, and suddenly we have Black and white people that are not mentioned in the Constitution. Before that, we had free persons and Indians. And by deduction, we know that those Indians are American Indians because it's called Constitution for the United States of America. So, America. We're not dealing with any other kind of Indians except the ones in America, but there's just all kinds of ways that this system, I guess, can, because we did discuss that Indian is a misnomer. We should have been called Americans from the get-go, but they had already word spelled us when they called us Indians. So they already took us off our land. And this is a result, again, of the doctrine of discovery. So I'll try to close the thought now for real, for real. Um, the new kid on the block, which is really the oldest kid on the block, is the uncivilized American Indian who is saying, I got frauded. I'm reclaiming my birthright. There is absolutely no reason for me to continue to be defrauded, especially after the church that allowed the fraud to take place has now washed its hands of this fraud. They have repudiated the doctrine of discovery, but the circus is still in town until American Indians, the uncivilized American, it's going to take the uncivilized American Indians to take back what belongs to them. Civilized Indians, they're going to have to denounce, they're going to have to somehow expatriate before they can really become uncivilized again. Until then, they're going to still push you to operate in private. They're going to be pushing you to create trust. The narrative is now changing about Moors, thank God. And we know that you can't be a Moor and claim the birthright because you have already solidified your history as a North African Berber, and history will not allow you to wiggle your way out of that, no matter how much fancy tongue work you do. Hmm. You can do better things with a fancy tongue, okay, than deceive people. Maybe that's all that tongue would be good. Let's not go there today. It's Sunday for crying out loud. Why are we looking at America is the true old world? Because we're going to do a little rewind. We're going to do a little rewind. We always have to do some kind of review, I think, because it's just, we have to be very certain that what we're doing is legally, lawfully sound. And it is. The doctrine of discovery has been repudiated. So those Supreme Court cases that were built on the doctrine of discovery, they have to come falling down as well. You no longer have the doctrine of discovery to support you. What has to happen is Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, Indians have to stand up, extricate themselves or extract themselves from this mess and begin their own thing. Yes, we have to, as we said in the last video, reinvent our wheel. Okay? We don't really want to reinvent the wheel because that's their wheel. We've never had our wheel for at least 500 years. So we have to reinvent our wheel. We're giving everything back. We don't want anything from the corporation because the corporation has a history of you pulling you in to its jurisdiction with every little thing that you use from them, like a trust. Okay, so we're going to uh, you know, be reviewing. Um, final close because I feel like we still haven't closed the last topic. What we are doing is we're affirming our legal position with the knowledge that this system, the United States, is guilty of fraud. We are peaceful American Indians, not taxed. But if we don't speak up, we're just going to get swallowed into a system that does not want us here. Now, we wouldn't have to do this if the system itself left us alone. But I do believe, similar to us and how we act as a people, some say the whole civil rights really got kicked off with Emmett Till. And so what that means is once an American Indian realizes that their lives are being threatened, and once they realize that, oh, you bringing the fight to that level, it's physical, that's when we seem to make a move. Now, the move we made after Emmett Till was not the right move, but we made a move, right? They say that between Emmett Till and the Rosa Parks, but I do believe it was Emmett Till that really set it off. So in the other world, when the ancestors realize that our lives are being threatened, I believe somehow that's what also will kick in their solution. And what their solution is we have to wake them up now. As long as they left them alone, you didn't have to deal with the ancestors because the ancestors can't communicate with us when we're so civilized. So we're too indoctrinated for the ancestors to really step in. But when our lives are threatened, then the ancestors know. I'm just this is just how I'm thinking, and maybe some Indians might feel the same way. I think that's when we are made aware. It's like you can't afford to be unaware anymore because you're about to be removed. And we won't let them do. We won't let them do that. We won't allow them to erase you from uh the earth. First of all, they know not what they do because they really don't want that. They really don't want that. But because of the greed, they are going for that. They the greed and the lust for power is so overwhelming in the heart of a Moor that they will actually lose their minds and try to come for our lives. Somebody has to say it. So it's either that or the system knows that this is just a time for awakening, and that's why they went into hyper extinction level extinction of American Indians, namely, and exclusively. It's the American Indians that are not wanted by a Moorish system. Again, we said that's because the Moors know that in our DNA there's something going on, and that their whole fraud will be uncovered only by American Indians. The other races of the world will find their beginning with Moors. American Indians do not begin with Moors. I say that a lot, and it's an important thing. That's why we're such a threat to them. They're trying to create a world of their own making. But the problem is they have another group of people that have DNA that's just as old as theirs or older. And those people they know will have the effect of bringing the house of cards to a tumbling uh, and that's why the Moors are threatened by American Indians. It's actually a real threat. I will say that it's not for nothing that they come for us because they are liars and we hold the truth. What is the truth? It's just our history, y'all. It's not that, it's not even that we are saints. We don't have to be. But what it is in our DNA is we go back further than, and the Moors they want to cut off. They're the ones that are cutting themselves off from their ancestors willingly, willingly. So that's where they need to sacrifice to the answers. Uh, you know, they are the ones that are willfully. American Indians were tricked into cutting off their ancestors. Not just tricked, we were also under threat. So we were being threatened for a while. So maybe it's not the threat of our life, but it's the timing. Maybe it's just the time that the ancestors are due to come back. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so yes, uh, the because the Moors are willfully cutting off history to create a new religion. They don't want. They don't even want deities that can trace back to ancient times. So if you can look at it this way, on a spiritual level, they are constantly killing off deities. So that because the murder is necessary, that might be why they have to call it a sacrifice. It's actually a murder. But to spiritualize it, it'll be called a sacrifice. But what you're doing is constantly you have to kill off the ancestors when they come back as much as you can. So this is the unfortunate case of a Moor is that they are eternally. I mean, they could quote unquote in their world they call it repent. They could attempt to repent, but I do think because of the murder, I don't know. Maybe because of the level of bloodshed, it's iffy. I don't know. I mean, somehow I guess they would have to pay for those lives, And therein lies another reason for the sacrifice. They have to pay, right? So what do they pay for? They have to pay blood for blood. So we're just looking at we're trying to go behind the veil because now is the time to do that kind of thing with the awakening, to figure out why sacrifice is uh, such a part of the Moorish legacy. So we did go off a little bit, but we're still um, in the realm of what we were talking about because we're looking at a Moor's book right here. And so yeah, we kind of I was listening to one of my favorite YouTubers, Dr. Tracy, and she was talking about this type of thing that YouTubers do when they start opening topics when they should stay focused on the topic that they're bringing up at hand. And so she has dedicated herself to doing 20-minute videos, 10 to 20 minutes or not much more, because she understands how, when you are going in like this, it opens up a lot of cans, a lot of rabbit holes. Uh, so that I guess that's what I'm doing right now. Pardon. But let's reel it back. Let's reel it back. Why are we looking at this book? Well, it is this author. that really helps me to understand where the Moors infiltrated American Indians. Okay. And he says they did it with the Washita Moors. Okay. So this author's name, Amenhotep Shathas El Bey, as you'll remember, I always had trouble remembering the order of his name. And so for many videos of I I would just be fighting trying to remember this name, but I should always know that it ends with El Bey, right? Amenhotep Shathas El Bey. So they end with the L or the Bay or both, as we see in this case. So although we are not Moors, we can learn uh, their thought processes and what their version of their story. Because remember, uh, these are individuals, these are men and women who have been given narratives that have to include Africa, because that's the only way a Moor is going to be able to begin to take the American Indian's birthright. So this, unfortunately, is the case even with this author, although I do think he's telling us so much that helps us, even though he himself has been indoctrinated by Moors. The only reason a Moor does this is to take your birthright. As you know, American Indians, you have no power, right? But the Moors, at least they know what it was like to have power. I mean, they claim that they don't have power now, but we can look at them and say, well, you basically ruled all the nations outside of America. You should be able to tell us how to take our birthright, but you won't do that. You'd rather place us as one of your acquisitions in your empire. So you're ignoring the fact that we had our own, and although we might not have called it what you call it, we had sovereignty. But you're taking ours away and superseding it with yours. So you are not acting like a brother. You're acting like a colonizer. A brother would say, "Yo, brother, do you? But I got your back if you ever need me. I'm over here, you over there, but I'm always here when you need me," right? That's what a real brother would do. I want Morris to check that because you really have no clue what it is to be a true brother. But what I just said, that's a real brother right there. He's not trying to take what you have, but he's got your back. A Moor doesn't know how to do that. A Moor automatically is looking to snatch you into his house. He's not respecting your house. You got a whole house you built, and the Moor is saying that I could add that to my little thing. But when he does that, he's dominating you. And he will not accept you as you are. You must what do you call it? Convert. You must convert to what he requires. Monotheism. You must convert spiritually. Mean you have to cut your ancestors off just like he's doing, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're looking at this book because we want to establish this man is an established author, right? He wrote this book where he's attempting to tell us that America is older, really. But see, that's what the Moor needs to do. He needs to tap into our American history, but he can't have us know that it was, how do I say it? He wants to put himself in our place. He doesn't want us to have this alone. Now, he willfully gave it all up, but selfishly, because we're still here, he's going to try to reclaim it using us. If you want a picture of how this looks, think of their little story about the prodigal son. American Indians are the sons and daughters that never left home and tended to our ancestors, day and night. The more is the prodigal son. And if you go by that story, you'll see he wants to be celebrated for his wrongdoing. He's telling you in his story, in his version of the world, it is the son that went astray, wasted the money, living it up, whooping it up with riches, all about wealth. He wants to be celebrated for doing that because he came home. You came home. You did not come home. What really happened is that that Negro came home and then tried to scam the brother and the father. He's saying, I got this new fandango stuff. If y'all join me, y'all gonna be great too. Just do what I do and become, you gotta convert. That's what really happened. But in his book of spells, he he's saying basically, pardon my French, fuck the one who was faithful. I just walked in the house. Where's my celebration? What are we celebrating exactly? You're not coming home. If you came home, you would confess that you've been lying all the whole time. You're not coming home. You're trying to pull the faithful one and the ancestors out to the world with you. So you have never repented. Uh, how would that even begin to look? I know we're all over the place, y'all, but you know what it is? It's because I don't, I'm going to say it this way, because I don't do videos on a regular, frequent level. I guess it's why I kind of have to go where I'm going and let it, I just have to go with it because I find that the ancestors drop a lot of nuggets that even I have to, it's not just for the listener, it's also for me. So pardon that we are getting off to a, kind of we going around the world with it a little bit. But we just wanted to try to you know really help Indians who need a way out. This is why we do this, y'all. This is why we do this. American Indians have been so brainwashed, they don't see the way out. They all they know is what the Moor has put all around us. That's why we don't know that we have a whole system of law and we don't need to use anything in the United States. It's just going to further their cause. Even using their trust system is furthering their domination. If you don't want to be dominated by a system, you literally have to stop using anything that it had because that shows your domination. So American Indians should be running away from anything called a trust. And what they have to do is what colonizer did. Colonizer knew the assignment when he took over. He knew that he had to call the shots on everything. He named the documents. He named the legal uh, terms. He redefined the legal terms. He took authority based on the doctrine of discovery. He took the liberty that he has to redo everything that an Indian ever did and make it over, make it foreign, and where the Indian don't even know exactly where the train is going. The colonizer, he just got you on a ride. But the bottom line is he's got you to where you don't even know that you don't have to make no damn trust. You have the authority. You got to look at yourself as a king and a queen who has just been displaced. but now you're coming back to your throne. Okay, so now you got to start saying, nah, this is what I do. I don't know how you do, but this is how I do. And everything you do, and this is why I think this is why the colonizer really wants you to be under the spell, because we're automatically going to go to our welfare. We're going to go to maintaining our welfare. Coming out of what we're coming out of, the first thing we're going to do is look to protect ourselves because we know that we've been unprotected in this legal system for centuries, ever since it arrived. Once they made you black, then you wonder why you have what they call police brutality. Well, you're not a legal entity. You're not protected by law. The cop is more protected by this legal system than a quote unquote black person is, right? So when he does something, he's within the law. If it harms you, because you're a non-existent and your civil rights have to be signed in by Congress, they're not guaranteed. They're not promised you. So the way the system might look at it is, okay, one of our guys took one of you legal non-entities out. Okay, it's so unfortunate. But the thing is, we still need that law enforcement to protect us. So we can't put him in no damn jail. Oh my God! All he did was he made a mistake. He somehow killed something that is already dead. I'm sorry, Indians. I hate to. That's the cold reality. You don't have any legal protections. So when you go to reach for a trust, you shouldn't be. You don't have no guarantee that that is going to work for you, and it doesn't. Peter DeRico already, we read an article on trust by the attorney, Peter DeRico, who peeked behind the curtain and saw the Wizard of Oz for what it was. Now, this is an attorney who did this. And he said, the name of his article was, Can Federal Indian Trust Be Trusted? So now the Federal Indian Trust, we already read about how janky that is, right? So now what the Moors are doing are trying to get us to go to regular like citizens trust. But to go to a citizen now, okay, what is the distinction? The distinction is this. We read an article from Peter DeRico that talked about federal Indian trust and that trust. So now what the Moors have to do is get us to go back to say what we would call a white man's trust. But we as American Indians have to say, we don't do trust, period. So why do we call it the white man's trust? Because the Indian trust we read about from Peter DeRico, please find my video, Can We Trust, Can Federal Indian Trust Be Trusted? That was the name of the article, the actual article by Peter DeRico. So we got that out the way. Now we're being asked to make like individual trust. So the individual trust, apparently, there's a republic being formed, is my best guess. I haven't looked too deeply in it, but I know that I heard a reference to the Iroquois Confederacy. So I'm going to go out on a limb to say that this trust that I'm hearing, the new thing I'm hearing, now, mind you, the YouTube channel creator is staunchly against Moors. However, they're still relying on instruments, federal or state, let's call them instruments or entities would be the more appropriate word. They're still relying on federal and state entities to hold American Indians land. We don't want them to hold anything for us. We are telling the states that I don't have to put anything in you. You're standing on me. I'm going to put it in me, in my people, in my jurisdiction. I don't want to be in your state jurisdiction. That's completely counterproductive to what the awakening Indian has to do. The awakening Indian, again, we're going to call it what it is. We got to reinvent our wheel. We have to reinvent our wheel. There is nothing in existence right now legally that we can use. We must make our own. We must make our own. Now, if it's going to get nitpicky, what has to happen is what this is the overall picture, y'all. This is the overall picture. So we looked at, we're going to talk about that, but let's at least move because y'all looking at this book saying, okay, I gotta know why. Okay. Okay, so that was the next slide. But what we want to say is, so from that, this was the next thing. We found this article again. Okay. So what's happening? The civilized tribes are finding or attempting to work outside of the Moorish narrative. So they figured out that, well, we can't be Moors. Okay. So they realized we got to stop pushing the Moorish thing. But we still need to push the state thing because, okay, again, the civilized Indian or the civilized tribe, they are basically creatures of the federal state system. Now, they pushed the Moorish thing. That's because, that's all they knew. They're slowly awakening themselves, and they realize, we can't push the Moorish thing. We realize now why we can't do that. But we can still push the state thing. And what the uncivilized Indian has to say is, do what you have to do for you, civilized Indians, but you can't do it for us. You can't tell me, an uncivilized Indian, that a trust is the way for me to go just because you're saying it. First of all, you're a civilized entity. So you're still pushing something that involves a colonizer's domination. You are trusting in their system because you're connecting it to the world. You see, I think the big mistake that many Indians are making is they're looking at the universality of the Moorish system, and that somehow that make it's like you have it's like a big Goliath, and all you see is how big he is. You see that the whole world is doing this. We can't do it any other way. So if they're doing this, the same legal system in China or France or Germany, whatever, that's what we all know. See, that never worked for American Indians. First of all, American Indians, you were never part of that anyway. It was only the civilized tribes that were involved in these international conversations. American uncivilized Indians, you were being genocided as black. You had no say anywhere. Now, the civilized Indians are a little more worldly. They're a little more like the prodigal son. They've been around because the Moors need them to be acquainted with their brethren and their ancestors in Africa and so forth. So the civilized Indians are the worldly mouse. And so all they know is, well, this is how they do it everywhere. You uncivilized Indians, you got to get on board with this. No, we don't. If we do, we might as well invite colonizers to stay here for another 500,000 to 26,000 years. And whatever increments they work in, whatever, they're making sure that their shit is being spread into the future. An American Indian has to break away because you're on a roller coaster. We got to jump the hell off this thing because it's really something that has already been set in motion. If we keep turning to federal or state entities, we're going to be dominated by those federal state entities like trusts. Indians, we have to make our own form of what they are calling a trust. Why? And it sounds like crazy, but maybe you could think of it this way. When we had our chiefs, we already had what our form of a trust. Our chiefs made sure that shit stayed American Indian, like Chief Powhatan did. When the British came to Chief Powhatan, he wasn't trying to give them his entire land. He gave them a part of it. So he maintained power and control. He was still the king. Like he figured if you're leaving your king, or if you telling me you representing another king and you want to come here as some kind of means to get away from him, well, now you're in my kingdom. It's not that you leave your king and come over here and become my king, but that's exactly what the British were doing. So fast forward, now you don't hear anything about any Algonquins being civilized. All you hear is about the civilized tribes, which we're looking at one of their documents, and the Iroquois. So what happened, y'all? Colonizer came here, got offered a deal by the king, or what we would call a chief, said, that ain't gonna work. Let me find people that I can join who are already against you or in some for whatever reason. And let me see if they can give me a better deal, because I'm sure they ain't going to want your domination just like I ain't. So they did not honor Chief Powhatan's position. Chief Powhatan was not trying to go by their federal or their states. In the spirit of Chief Powhatan, especially if you're an Algonquin in the Eastern Woodlands, but we found out that the entire Virginia was apparently all of Powhatan's territory. That's what they took from him, his territory. And you don't hear about Algonquins anymore. Now you hear about all these other species of Indians when the proof is in the pudding. We all spoke Algonquin. That's how we got the English language. Let me ask you something. What state in the United States is not speaking English, y'all? Okay, so why did they choose Algonquin to be their base language? Because that's the language all Indians spoke, y'all. Come on, we gotta put on our what do you call it? It would be when you study like how linguistics works and how important language is to a people and their advancement of their culture. Why do you think English is the language of all the United States? Because that's the language that all Indians spoke. And again, we're going to give a shout out to Dane Calloway for that information. He's very adamant about the English language and the fact that the English dictionary we heard from Noah Webster that he created the dictionary words from, you know, uh, from the Algonquin language. The alphabet, I believe, what Dane said is that it's made up of was it the alphabet words that we use in English are made up of the Algonquin language, not the Iroquois. So who were the people of America? What was their language? What was their major language? Which means that was the oldest thing. That's why so many people spoke it. It was the oldest thing. We learned that ourselves. So a colonizer comes to an Algonquin speaking country. But the Algonquin people, he has not he don't want to talk much about them. He'd rather tell you how marvelous the Iroquois and their legal system was. Apparently, their legal system could not have been the system of all Indians because we were all speaking Algonquin. Why aren't we going by the legal or spiritual creation story of Algonquins when they were the most prevalent thing in the Americas, the North America? Why aren't we going by their reality? Colonizer don't want to, because that's the person that he stole the land from. Do you see that, American Indian? The ones who will. What are the Moors doing? They're cutting you off from that which is your oldest. Now we go back farther than Algonquins, but as you can see, when you have a Moorish colonizer over you, you even have to cut off your most recent ancestors. You're just like a plant that your somebody keeps cutting off your roots and trying to replant you, and they look at how you grow, and if you're not growing and showing that you're Moorish, they're going to cut you off again, and this time they don't care. They like if they keep replanting you and you're not showing what they need to see, your fruit is not bearing, then they're just going to get reviewed completely. They are the grafters, the ones who grafted persons, places, and things, you might say. The scientists that we read about and the priests that we read about. They're constantly cutting American Indians off from their roots. So they want to go with the new things, the Cherokee. Now, that's not a diss to our Kappa Cherokees. It's just a nod to them. We even invited them to come home because we saw that map where the Cherokees were, just like all other Indians, on Algonquin land. So what am I saying? In order for Indians to take their birthright, they have to go with the thing that colonizer didn't like, which was Algonquins. He couldn't help the language. That he had to use that because that's how he's going to communicate the lies. He needs your language. But you, oh no. He's going to rock with the civilized tribes. They are Muskogee and Iroquois. No Algonquins to be found. There's a reason for that, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm not trying to say Algonquins are the best. I'm saying they're the first. You got to go with your first. That's what Moors are allergic to. They start melting like the Wicked Witch when you start talking about your ancestors and how they want you to not talk about that no more. And Moors, what is your fate? You, I'm sorry, y'all. I just heard a loud noise and it startled me. Probably the Moors doing some. I'm just kidding. Your fate. Either you come clean with who you are start all over again, stop lying about America, and stop lying about these deities that are not as old as American deities. I know that's a lot for you. See, I don't think the more can, I don't know if they can do it because it's like they're on a trajectory now. But those who follow them and know that they're not Moors, you can get out. You American Indians, you can get out. There's no reason why you can't. But you can't bring, just like with colonizers, federal, state, and the international system, you can't bring the things that you had. You got to leave it. You got to leave it all behind. Do you want to own your land and have a say? You got to leave everything you knew behind in a peaceful manner. And we like to spread peace. So the priests are the ones that have the hardest decision to make. The scientists, I think they're going to be okay. Science is science. They just have to stop, stop trying to create products that come up against the first people. You know, no more creating new races, new species, and all of that. See, this is what I don't see. People, this is where I kind of don't get it myself because I'm thinking that it is possible for these priests to uh, stop what they're doing. But they may know a little more. I will say this: they probably know something that you or I don't know, and that they're running from because they seem to be on the run to me. The priesthood, there is just something that they just don't want to deal with, and again, it's like because they were the major executors of our ancestral deities, they're guilty of that. So I think this is in some way they're trying to not have to face that judgment. They just think, well, let's just make new deities and let's just make new cultures of people that know nothing about those old deities. And then we'll never have to deal with it. We just have to keep doing our sacrifices, though. You see, that's the thing. There's something about these sacrifices. I think the sacrifices are for themselves. I think they have to sacrifice for what they have done. In other words, they're not going. See, that's the thing with the sacrifice system. The guilty party doesn't have to die as long as he gets someone else to take his place. That's why we don't want sacrifice, y'all. But we know that we've been told that vampirism is not cool and cannibalism is not cool, right? So we automatically know that we should be able to give that up when we say we're drinking somebody's blood or eating somebody's flesh. Okay, so you just made yourself a cannibal vampire. And yet you say you don't like that kind of thing, but that's what you're doing. That's what see when the Moors come, that's what comes with it. It seems that after you sacrifice the thing, eating it is like you took part and you kind of sacrifice yourself because you're eating the body now that was sacrificed and you're drinking the blood. So now it's almost like you died, but you're still alive because you just ate the death, you know? So you cleaned up the mess. You got rid of the body. The bones, who knows what they're going to do with those? Grind them up, make a voodoo powder. I don't know. I don't know. Um, but It's a system. It's a replacement system. It's a duplicate replacement system. The blood sacrifice system is a duplicate replacement system. After you murder, what you call it a sacrifice, you eat the evidence, drink the blood, and now you've just become that which was sacrificed. So you're good now. The deity is happy because it got the blood it wanted. It got you to do what it does. And as we said, the blood shedding deity is Set. Set was the first murderer, not actually, what we're told it was Cain, but in the spiritual story, it was Set, the god itself, that was the first murderer. So I believe in some way, when you follow that deity, you have to murder as well, but you call it a sacrifice. Now, when the deity sacrificed, he did that to gain position, and so are you. So you're following a death cult, okay? It's a death cult, blood drinking, flesh eating, what you would call demonic cult that the Moors have you in. But they're the ones committing the highest crimes because they're priests who know better. They know about the spiritual forces. Okay, so we have been around the world with it. I'm so sorry, y'all. Um, I hope I still have your attention. I'm sorry. You could do it in pieces, y'all. You never have to listen to of the video all at once. You know what I'm saying? Get your popcorn, get your coffee, whatever, and let's do this, y'all. Hey, it don't have to be a bad thing. I hope I invite you to please, if this goes on too long, please do not torture yourself. Let me do that. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Um, um, so yeah, I was so happy to find this article again because I thought I lost it. What you're looking at, is a new version of an old article that I should have uh, linked in my video on this subject. We did the video that covered this is a video called "The Five Civilized Tribes Are Moors." Okay, and I think I highlighted it. So this is the article. I'm probably gonna link it here. We want to say thank you to this dude. His heart, whether he knows it or not, I think the ancestors are actually using this man for Indians who are able to think outside the box and look behind the curtain. This man is one of the most valuable that you will find when you need to learn the differences. What makes an American Indian not a Moor? And once the American Indian becomes part Moor, he loses his birthright. And the Moor takes your birth in the grand scheme of things. That's why we can't be Moors, because basically they're genociding us while telling us that they have the way, the truth, and the light, but you don't want me to exist. You have the way, the truth, and the light, but you don't want me to have any other way. And that's not how you do your brother. I'm very sorry. If you think you're my brother, somebody lied to you. Somebody lied to you. It was the priests, because the Amaru, Washita, Degdamundia Moors were originally a group of priests from the Egypt of the West. So they weren't from Africa. See, they're telling the truth. But then they want to lie and say it was an out of Africa theory. American Indian. But see, we got to be careful. Because okay, the question that American Indians should have right now is, then if we all one and the same, can't we just embrace them? They just told us that they from the Egypt in South America. So aren't they our people? Why you keep saying no to them? Set yourself free, join. Oh, hell no. I told you when I saw the Stepford Wives, that shit left me with I had I had issues, y'all. That movie, The Stepford Wives, fucked me all the way up. It left a hole. It I don't know how to explain it. That movie, it I realized all these things were the ancestors trying to tell me something. When you have something that affects you, try to examine it because it's probably something that the ancestors want you to remember this. Like they put it in there. But the Stepford Wives, that movie, I could not reconcile that with my spirit. The movie, I did a whole talk on this. I'm so sorry that I'm repeating it, y'all. I know it's going to be a long video, y'all. It's going to be a long one. Okay, it's going to be a long one. Uh, that movie, the original Stepford Wives from 1975, Catherine Ross in the starring role as Joanna. What was her name? Joanna. That was her first name. I forgot the last name. I could not reconcile that movie. It's one of those movies that ends and it just leaves you. And now they don't often do that. I noticed that they like to leave you whole. Sometimes they like to give you the ending you want. And when it's an ending you don't want, you a lot of times you can still live with it. But you go like, oh, okay, oh well. Sometimes it's a cliffhanger and you're not sure if it was a good ending or a bad ending, but it ends with maybe it might in the future something the same thing might happen all over again, you know. The Stepford Wives, it was a hard, oh my God. It was a hard end, y'all. It just dropped you. It just dropped you. And so um that type of film is one it can leave you kind of feeling scarred. It just it invited you into this woman's life. You got to see her personality. You liked her. You wanted her to you didn't you saw what she began to see and you were just rooting for her. She made some dumb decisions, of course. But the way they set it up is like the reason why she made that dumb decision is because she was so fiercely protective of her children. So in an attempt to get her children, she got replaced. She got replaced. And then she was like everybody else, all her friends, one by one. She watched them get replaced until she had to run to a therapist, a psychoanalyst. That back then I don't know if they called it therapist because she had run out of friends, and she was in that office crying to the woman, and you just felt everything. She said this. She was trying to explain. She said, "I know it sounds crazy, but I know that my time has come, and I don't have how she put it. My yeah, my time is coming. I'm next." And the therapist said, "I have to go away, but please, is there a place that you could be safe? I will be back in a week." She said, "It'll be too late." She knew. She knew. Because her once her friend got turned, well, really, it was murder. The women were being murdered. Spoiler alert. This movie's old. Y'all should know it by now. Come on, give me a break. Um, it's a desperate movie. The ending leaves your jaw dropped. You you see her, you look at her with her husband, and you know that he has you hate him more than you can say because he seemed like a nice guy, but he seemed like a whole I don't know what the word is. Just oh uh a wuss. I don't know what to call him. He was just a wimp wuss. Because the thing is, you fell in love with this woman, and because she had an independent streak or whatever, you you decide that you're going to replace her with a robot because you all she wanted to do was take pictures. She was a photographer. Uh it just the whole thing is it it's it just fucked me up on levels that I didn't even know because I couldn't understand how I could be so touched by a film and yet hate it at the same time, sort of, kind of, just not like it, and it just leaves you in a state of sorrow. You watching the ending and you see that it zooms in on her face. You know it's not her, and this new thing takes her place. She's no longer. It's like she's like deadpan. She doesn't have any other desires in life but to cook and clean and provide mind blowing sex to her husband. But she's like she's a robot, you know. And what that film kind of, I think why I just think the ancestors had me pause because that's exactly what they hope to do to American Indians mainly. Now, it's going to happen if it were to happen, it would be every. But the target is the American Indian. You to the Moors, you are that willful thing. You are that thing that they can't be too sure you're going to go with the program because your roots go back so far, and they are into uprooting, supplanting. The word supplant is perfect. That's what a Moor does. The Moor is the supplanter. They say it's Yakub, but they are doing the work of Yakub. They act like Yakub was just one of many of our dudes, and he's just the one that created the white man. You are Yakub. You're the supplanter because you're supplanting American Indians. We know you are because you have to insert yourself. You don't allow American Indians to have their own culture. Every other culture on the earth has what they know to be their own culture. But that's how we're the target, y'all. American Indians cannot have their own culture. The Moor is going to insert himself, although he knows he's the most opposite to you, they're more opposite than the two magnets that Yakub used to create the white man, yo. They couldn't be more opposite. Yet he clings to you, American Indian. Why is the Moor clinging to you but hates you at the same time? You never existed, American Indian. The Moor wishes you never existed, and he spends, whether he knows it or not, every waking hour dreaming of how he can convince you that you are him. But that's a form of genocide, y'all. It's what happened to Joanna in the Stepford Wives. That's why it stuck with me. I realized it's not just me tripping over a pretty white woman or something, or feeling for this poor white woman. It's no, that's not it. It's your spirit knows what's in the works. Okay, you felt everything she felt because the ancestors wanted you to feel that. Thank you, ancestors. So we done went around the world with it again. I'm sorry, though. Though I always sorry. I'm always sorry. Uh, but not sorry and tired. It's like they did it in the Boomerang. Halle Berry said, "You're sorry and you're tired." Da, da, da. I ain't all that now. Come on, Halle. Come on, Halle Berry. I ain't all that now. The Amaru Washita Degdamundia Moors were originally a group of priests from the in America, y'all. So see, this is why this man, he is a gift of the ancestors, even though he didn't intend to be, or maybe he's trying to be. But he's telling you. See, this is why this article was so important to me. This explains what the civilized tribes are. They were reared up by the priest. You see why I always talk about the priesthood? But the priests don't want anything but the civilized tribes. Now, imagine this priesthood rearing up this remnant of themselves. How do you think they're going to feel about us, y'all? The uncivilizing. Now, they want these Indians, the Washita, Degdamundia Moors. They like them because they're influencing them. But just like the British forces that came here, they had nothing to do with Powhatan, right? So and then I remember, in our video we said they said the term Washita is a corruption of Ur. And all I saw was y'all. And I'm thinking of Abraham from a father, and see the term Washita is a corruption of Urshtar, the father and mother of mystics. But that's what the original spiritual system was. It was, we call it what, the mysteries. So see now I gotta go there, y'all, because I'm the type of YouTuber that gets criticized, right? Because he's too much about we ain't no Egyptians. You civilized tribe, do you understand what you are connected to? Now here you're gonna say, well, then why are you talking against them? If you were saying that we Egyptian, Heru, well, I explained to you that I'm no longer in favor of death cults. So that's an update, y'all. Come on, keep up with me now. Yes, I know that we originally were Egypt. I know that. People will when they critique Heru, you're gonna see criticism like, well, how he American Indian? He called himself an ancient Egyptian deity. Read that paragraph, especially if you're a civilized Indian, and know your place, okay? Know your place. Know where you come from. I know where you come from, okay? That's why I call myself a Roo right now. But that's gonna change, y'all. As I might have mentioned, I already picked out my Algonquin name. I'm not ready to speak on it. I only have two so far. The funny thing is they're so similar to my name. So that's what another see the ancestors are just they're just they are amazing, okay? Because I found I did what Cicely Tyson's daughter did. I looked in a book, yes, but I did it the right way. The daughter did it the wrong way though. But she was Iroquois, so we don't even care, right? There ain't no right way when you're Iroquois. I'm sorry, Iroquois. It's not personal. It's just that you are a new thing and you're being celebrated because of your newness and the fact that you, like the Moors that reared you up, are disconnected from your Algonquin roots, your Algonquin language. Now they had to say you didn't know how to write because they were denying that you wrote Algonquin. That's the oldest writing and language. So that's how they cut you off. They have to uproot you, and now they got to say you was like an idiot that didn't know how to write. And we know that you did know how to write. It's just that you weren't allowed to write Algonquin anymore. Lingua franca, okay, that's English, right? But Algonquin, no. That the Moors said, no, you can't do that. We're Stepford wife in your ass. That's what they did to all the civilized tribes. But I want the civilized tribe to understand when you deny uh ancient Egypt, the Moors are giving you they had to, shall we say, retouch the story. Because this brother right here, he's telling you, he's laying it all out for you. He wrote the book, America is the True Old World. And a lot of you celebrated that book, but you don't celebrate this part where he says that the original civilized tribes were originally a group of priests from the Egypt of the West, y'all. Wait, we gonna get this word. When he says the West, the other Egypt is in the East, right? Okay, so what he talking about, y'all? He talking about South America, y'all. Heru, Heru, per Heru is House of Heru. Now again, the reason why I claim Egypt of America is because I know that we have to predate, just like Indians know they predate the United States. You have to know, spiritually wise, you predate Christianity and the other monotheistic religions that the Moors celebrate so much. The Moors willfully. Now, again, Jewish people wouldn't be the problem here. No, they wouldn't. It is these Moors that we're reading about right now, the priest, that's the problem for the American Indian. That's our problem, right? You're looking at it, y'all. A Jew didn't do that, okay? Look at that and know that a Jewish person did not do that. So even when it sounds like we're talking against Caucasian Jews, trust and believe we are not. Not going to fall into that little trap that the Moors set up. We are talking about those who predate what we know to be Caucasian Jews, okay? They're the replacement, just like those who replaced us and calling themselves related to Pocahontas, but they look ever bit Caucasian. That's the dynamic going on here. We, as American Indians, we got to go to that brother, the one that looked like us, that's in the mix, hiding and laughing and having a ball just deceiving us. That's who we dealing with. Now, we're not going to, again, we're peaceful, but we're going to call that Negro out like he ain't never been called out before. That Negro going to be trying to duck, dodge, all of that. All of that. But nigger, you can run, but you can't hide. You can't hide. You trying to make this a black and white thing? Not gonna work. Not gonna work. You were white, right? Although you was black as anything we could find, was the white. You was known as the white status, right? Before occasions, right? But you just made it. You simplified it into a race for your caste system. So why, Heru, if you know the Washita Moors are from Egypt and you call yourself Heru, ain't you one of them too? Well, do I sound like I promote them? I ask you. Does it sound like I'm with them? I'm not. Because they're still lying. That's why most American Indians say we're not Egypt. Because they're lying on top of lies, on top of lies, on top of lies. That's all confusion, chaos. They're serving a chaos deity. I'm clear, and the reason why I call on Egypt, as I was about to say, is because I know that I have to claim the birthright, the first birthright. I'm not claiming the bullshit. I'm claiming the birthright. I'm claiming the time frame that Egypt appeared, not necessarily the religion of Egypt. I'm claiming their place in history. That's what I'm claiming. But the Moors are all about religion. I'm not. That's the difference. The Moors are going to try to make you Islamic. They'll settle for Christian. or Hebrew Israelite, but they really want you to be Islamic. They're desperate. They need to collect all of those who might witness against them. Um, so what I learned finally about the ancient Egyptian religion that I uh no longer subscribe to. What I realize is the Egyptian Osirian religion is just another version of a death cult. Now they prettied it up. They tell you about a wonderful king named Osar. He was the everything you'd want a king to be. His wife was known as Isis, but her real name was Aset, which is a little scary because it kind of matches up with Set. Mm. We ain't even gonna go down that rabbit hole today. But it is interesting. Was he a king who was over influenced by his wife? You know. But anyway, in the story, the Osarian religion, Osar is like the best king you could possibly have over Egypt of America. Yeah, y'all don't like when I say that, but now that I got the proof on the screen, I dare you to try to challenge it. It's your history, I'm telling you. You saying we ain't know you, right? You saying we from Egypt. We ain't no Egypt. Well, you're over influenced by Moors when they change up the story. That's why I can't stand these Negroes. The story changes depending. I can't do that. We can't do that. So those of you who saying we're not ancient Egypt, take it up with the writer who wrote this. Okay, and here's America is the old world. This is on his web. I think we had his web page up. Oh God, did we take it down? Oh boy. Okay, okay. Do we want to do that now? But the reason why we look at this is because we want to establish he done wrote the book on this, right? So he's telling the truth about the Washita Moors. Okay, so now we might have to go down here for 1 minute because we highlighted something. Okay. The five civilized tribes as part of the Washita Nation. These are the five civilized Christianized tribes: Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole. Anyone claiming to be one of these tribes is a Washita Moor. And I got the Camp Holds Treaty of August 24th, 1835 to prove this. So that's for you, civilized tribes. Y'all discuss that amongst yourselves. I'm not coming up against you in anything else other than peace. But my words, I have my duty is I have to get uncivilized in these because you're civilized, remember? Christianized. Okay? You're Christianized right here. These are so what the duty is of an Indian like me, I have to steer American Indians away from you because they don't have to be Christianized. In fact, in order to gain the authority on the land that they need to not be Christianized. They need not to be mortified or mortified. They need not be Hebrewed, Hebrewed up. What am I saying? It's fine for there to be Caucasian Jews. It is not fine for American Indians to be Hebrew Israelites. It is not fine for us. Now, we will always work to establish peace between us American Indians and anyone identifying as Caucasian, because we know that it's never the child in the equation. We know that the parent is someone that looks like us. And our beef is with the parent that's trying to make us their child with the religion that they gave to their child, if you can follow. It's like, wait, I'm the adult too. Okay. Now you can rear your children up the way you want, but you can't rear up my children the way you want. If I'm an American Indian, I'm going to rear up any children that I would have as American Indians. You want to rear your children up as Hebrews or Israelites or Islamic or Christian, that's your business. But number one, you have, with all of that, you have a land mass that is not mine. You can't bring that to my land mass because now you're infringing on my children. And I can't have you do that. You can keep it where it was born in the East. But American Indians now, we have to go back in. Y'all got that? Could you get that screenshot for me, please? Okay. Um, so they go into here where they married into. All that stuff below here is how uh, they had to have an Indian involved. They said what was her name? They even name. So they, similar to Pocahontas, they married into Indians and then they started filling their heads with everything. Oh my God. It's like they took the Indian all out of you. Once you married into, see, the Cherokee are special. That's Iroquois. Cherokee speaks Iroquois. So they were the first Indians to learn the new language that the Moors were bringing, because the Cherokee originally spoke Algonquin. Our video, Cherokee Come Home, if you could look at the thumbnail for that video, you'll see that Cherokee were in uh, Algonquin land. All the whole North America was Algonquin, y'all. Come on. That's why we're speaking English. English is based on Algonquin. They had to go with the most uh, prevalent language on the land to be able to indoctrinate the most Indians. And that language, the oldest language, is Algonquin. And we had writing. I believe it was called Ojibwe or Ojibwe, or something like that. The Micmac, who are Algonquin, they were still using hieroglyphs. That's how connected they were to the ancients of our people. They were still writing in hieroglyphs, y'all. The Micmac. Algonquin. So they're saying was the biggest tribes. That's because they were Algonquin. Algonquin was the biggest thing. So these slicksters, now the writer, we giving him a pass. He's just telling us what he learned from the priests. He said, additionally, the Cherokee Indians was one of the biggest tribes. I believe it's the Cherokee that created the five civilized tribes. In other words, banded them together. Because as big as they were, why would they need this Muskogee all around them? What they're trying to tell you again is that Cherokee was that was their biggest acquisition in terms of grabbing Algonquins because they taught them the Iroquois language. Or whatever writing. We learned that Cherokee is the one who brought the Iroquois Confederacy writing, or yeah, the Iroquois learned writing from Cherokee because Cherokee are the original. I believe the Cherokee are the original Iroquois, but because they're in the South and colonizers trying to create a picture that Algonquins were not in the South, he can't call them Iroquois. You see, when you think of Iroquois, think that of them as always in opposition to Algonquin. So if they're in opposition to Algonquin, and you don't want the world to know where Algonquins resided, you can't call them Iroquois directly. You got to call them Cherokee because you're trying to create the impression that there was no Algonquins in the land where Cherokee are. But in fact, the Cherokee were Algonquin. So that was Algonquin land in the South. Where them five civilized tribes are, it's Algonquin. But they were so scared that they went underground and they got the Mongolians there as placeholders. Even though they took that land from Algonquins or tried to convert it to what do you call it, Muskogee and Iroquois. Even though they did all that, they dare not show their black face on there. So they got the Mongolians there, the five civilized tribes now. But before that, they talk about Mali. Again, what Mongolians you know want to trace their lineage to Mali? So what happened to those Indians that traced their lineage to Mali because the Moors told them to? They went underground, like Judge Brown. We don't say first names. We don't have to, or we say the first name. We don't say that. Yeah. He tried to be peaceful. I know the video is going all over the place, y'all. Work with me, damn it. So this article is priceless, y'all. This article is priceless. This article is priceless. Oh boy. Spanish land grant. Yeah. Hmm. So the church was splitting up America between Spain and Portugal. That's where your Spanish is coming. And we know that the Spanish are a direct product of the Moors. So it's funny how the Spanish would come for us when it's really Moors that are after us. You see what I'm saying? So they had to change the face of the operation to come for us. But it's the Moors that's the driving factor whenever European appear to be coming for American Indian. Please know that there is a more behind it. Europeans didn't even know about it. So how'd they find out about it? Moors, black. I was so happy to hear. See, lately I'm seeing that ancestors are showing me the evolution. I heard someone else say that it's never white people, and I almost fell out my chair. I heard another American Indian say that, and I'm like, oh my God, the American Indians ain't playing. They about that wokeness. It's very rare that you hear that, y'all. Whenever you hear American Indians who know that they're American Indians and they're talking too much about white people, know that there's a more involved. Because American Indians who are more aware will know that it's not white people. So when you see American Indians, or what appears to be American Indians, and they keep talking about the white man this, the white man that, the white man that. Know that they're still in a black man's frame of mind, y'all. Only a black man is going to harp and harp on about white people. And American Indians should know better. For the Mongolians, it's not the Mongolians that put themselves in place of the original five civilized tribes who claim to be from Mali. Mongolians can't make no Malian claims. So even it's not even the Native Americans. It's just that as the generations go by, Native Americans start to believe that they're the real Indians. You can't blame them for that. It was these Moors that put them on that land, them Washita. Now, again, these are Washita Moors, right? He said the what we I went down there because I want to show you that the Washita Moors are the five civilized tribes, right? So why aren't these black folks in the civilized tribes now? Where'd they go? They took to the YouTube. They took to the YouTube, y'all. They took to the YouTube. You won't find them in the with the amongst the Mongolians too much. They went underground. They saw what time it was. They looked at the world clock and said, "Uh-oh, about time for them niggas to wake up. Time for us to come out of hiding," sort of, kind of, a little bit, on the YouTube. And they were the first things you heard. That's started, you know, but they knew it was. Let put you this way, y'all. I'm going to say something revolutionary, evolution. We would have found out we was the American Indians even if it wasn't by the hand of civilized tribe Indians deciding that they're going to jump the gun or try, they knew what time it was, y'all. Why would they all of a sudden want to reveal that we were American Indians? So that they could take the credit for it. But they knew it was going to happen anyway. They just watched the stars. Now the priests watched the stars. They saw the conjunction coming, y'all. They said it's time for us to start talking about them being American Indians because they're gonna find out anyway, y'all. And then we can't let them know what we did. So let's be the ones to tell them first. And then you get a Negro like me who's coming up with a whole other narrative, and it's like, oh shit, that's the ones we did. That's what we were trying to avoid. We were trying to see they jumped ahead of the narrative, y'all. So a lot of awakening American Indians are getting a Moorish version of us being American Indians. But I just think the ancestors already had it for me to not jump on that bandwagon. I was a what do you call it? A precocious child. I didn't follow no crowd. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I think I was perfectly designed to come up against a mass narrative, no matter how massive. Uh, because you can't be someone who follows. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, I talked about all the signs that I have that are cardinal in my chart, what they call cardinal. There's Cancer, there's Libra, and that's basically my whole entire makeup is uh, uh, cardinal. The energy is cardinal. So cardinal energy tends to be able to take a stand and not need a whole lot of like cheerleaders, like people that's gonna say, like, I don't really need the amen corner, or the hallelujah corner, because I it's the energy itself that they say cardinal signs are like leaders in terms of and what it is they can take a narrative and stand on that shit and don't care that it's not popular. Don't care that, oh, you only got 100 views. That's not my issue. That's not something I'm going to get stuck on. I'm going to be this way no matter how many views I get. You're still going to get this work because that's all I know how to do, y'all. And then the again the Leo energy, well, that's where you're going to get the entertainer or whatever kind of whatever entertainment you might get out of it. Yeah, but that voice is also, you know, uh, the Mercury energy in Leo, you know. So what I'm trying to say is, I it feels to me that that is just the ingredients of what makes me come to the video and be able to stand on what I know with very little fanfare. But I can tell you this, those that the ancestors uh, happen to have take the time to watch my videos, that's who was supposed to. That's who's supposed to. And even Dane Calloway has said something to the effect of you don't need everybody. You don't need the whole every single American Indian. You just need a few because they're going to create the jurisdiction. Now, once the jurisdiction is up, all bets are off. Because that's what's going to happen is there's going to be a group of Indians still batting for the corporation. But baby, there's going to be a group of Indians that say that's for them, not for us. And unfortunately, those who are batting for the corporation, they're putting themselves in a secondary position. You can't, let me tell you something. You can't be for the corporation and for American Indians at the same time. You're going to be one or the other, boo boo. And you know I ain't saying nothing but the truth, so don't even try to frown up your face. You know that's just the facts of life. It's not going to happen. But the corporation is domination and nothing else. Choosing the corporation, it's not let us work together. You see what they did with your commerce, right? In the Commerce Clause, they are regulating your commerce according to their system. But that's their system. That's why American Indians don't want no fucking parts of it if they really know what the assignment is. I didn't make the assignment. I'm just trying to follow the assignment, y'all. Don't get mad at me. But I don't know if you want to get mad at the ancestors because that's the only people you could take this up with. I don't know if you, right now, it's not the time to really be mad at the ancestors. It's really not the time for that, y'all. Wasting your time being mad at me. Again, I am fueled by the ancestors. They're all supposed to be. So don't take it like, oh, you think you special? No, hell no, I don't. But I'll put you this way. Uh, and when I say this with all humility. Uh, the day of me thinking that there are some a man outside of myself that is so worthy that I should condemn myself in his presence, that day is over. What I'm saying is, I don't see that there's some man better than me that should judge me. I don't see it. Uh, in my heart of hearts, I've grown into this now, but it was in the making. I don't see any man on earth in a position to judge me. So if it sounds like fighting words, it's not really. It's just the reality of who I am. Now I know that you'll get those who will, you know, seek to emasculate you in any way they can. And there's usually one way that that's done. Uh, that's just how it's always been. It has nothing to do with reality, or it's just everyone knows how to emasculate a male. That way no longer works, is what I'm saying. It won't shut a mouth like mine. I'm just I just grew up, y'all. That's all it is. I am an, I'm an adult, and I just see myself as an adult among adults. Um, we have a lot of men and women, uh, Indians who are like have, I guess, what they would call like a psychic ability, and they already know everything about you. And I'm the type that I'm glad you know. Because it has nothing to do with what I'm doing. Know whatever you know, but don't think that's going to intimidate me. Yeah, I'm the type of person, really. I recently met someone who is a shaman, and they said, and basically proved with what they were saying, that they can see, they can see if you allow them. Now, see, the whole thing is you have to agree to let a seer, if they're working with you, you have to agree to let them view, you know. I'm the type that I want to do that. That's I mean, the thing is, I know this person. We work together in the same building and same firm. So I've known uh, of this person for years. But I noticed ever since they saw that I wear my feather, uh, it awoken something. And I think the person saw me in I guess, in somewhat of a shaman's light. That, she did, but because she commented on my feather at one point. And, yes, I really, I'm very humbled that the ancestors allow me to wear my feather. Very humbled by that. Very, but yet at the same time, so very proud. Um, so for like months now, this person has uh, seen me with my feather and complimented me. Asked where the feather, where I get it and all of that stuff. And then, but only as of last week, we talked, and uh, she told me that she's a shaman, and we just got into a conversation, and she gave me examples of how she can help people, by going in and seeing, visually seeing parts of the person's life that they might have left behind because they didn't want to deal with it or whatever. I just thought it was so fascinating. I really did. And for the longest, I've wished to do something like that. Now, the thing is, she said that sometimes people get mad at her when they do it, after they do it. And I'm just saying, well, if they let you do it, why would they get mad? But the thing is, those feelings are so um I guess tender. I don't know. Sometimes because in other words, it's something that maybe you didn't want to deal with at the time, so you kind of pushed it away or whatever. And so when someone goes to open that, you have you might get angry at them. She said some person said to her, "How dare you? How dare I? You gave me the permission. That's how I dare I." But I just thought, I guess the ancestors, they kind of knew that it was something for the longest. I don't know why. I just been interested in that. And now I have an opportunity to, have that done. And I already expressed to the person that I would be very interested in that. So we'll see. I mean, I'm trying to keep my eyes open for anything the ancestors might want to say, but the way it happened, I already feel like this is what I ancestors. No need for further query. The answer, boom, the answer. They knew what you wanted all this time, and now it's with someone you trust to a degree. Because when I say trust, I'm not. This is just a coworker. You know, so it's not like a best friend or anything. But what I mean is it's not someone that will be able to run away from me, after this thing is done, or if we do it. So it's going to have to be something on the up and up. So I feel like that's why the ancestors placed this person in my path, but they've always been there before I knew I was an Indian. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean when I feel like I know this person because I've worked at my place of employment since 1987. It's a long time. Um, and this person has worked there maybe, maybe I would say within 10 years of my starting at this firm. So that's how long I've known of her. I mean, at first it was just a passing, just seeing them and not really knowing them, just seeing them. But then, as of late, again, with my wearing of my feather, it, you know, the she was very impressed with, I think, with that made an impression. And so, yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to something like this. I really am. Especially now that I know, I feel a little more connected to the ancestors, a lot more. So it's the time, it's all about the timing for to even do something like that, have a, revisiting of you know, your things that you might have not remember, forgot or something. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place. It's a long video. I know. But yes, so this dude's work, priceless. Again, his name, Hotep Shafez El Bey. Now, you can agree with a more to a degree. So the degree that I am with this dude is because he knows the order. He knows about Egypt in America, like all Moors do, but the Moors have to dance around that. Now he's just giving us the general overall origin story, but more, I would say, Moors that know what their assignment is, they're going to dance around this fact. Because remember, the Moors are, when I say they willfully became African, that's what I mean. Knowing that the original Egypt is in America, we have a break off who says, no, America is the new world. That was the priest that did that. Why are they doing this? Again, we just got to keep remembering, y'all. They're cutting off the ancestors. They don't want them to exist anymore, right? So that's why they have to cut off from America because they don't want to admit what happened in America. What happened? They got rejected, y'all. They got expelled. But that expelling was to be permanent. Permanent until, like with everything else, some kind of repentance happens. And the Moors are so arrogant at this point, I don't see a repentance happening. And I just have a foreboding feeling that it's really going to be hard for them to give up the deities they created. They're not going to want to give them up because then they're going to have the white race looking at them sideways. The Jews are not going to be happy with this at all, but the thing is that would be something they would take up with the Moors, not with the American Indians. They would have to take that up with the Moors because listen, here it is right here, y'all. And I'm glad you waited for it. I know you don't like when I ran. I'm sorry. But if the Moors tell the truth, it changes the whole Israel story. It changes the location, all of that, y'all. It makes them liars. Do you see why Moors are on the trajectory that they're on? Now, I'm going to say this right now. None of these brothers do I really want to be harmed. They never have to worry about that from an American Indian like myself. But when it comes to telling the truth, if the truth hurts, that is not me harming you. Now, I want to say this: we're not looking to we're going to jump on these Moors. And the world is going to attack them. We're not doing that, y'all. There's enough of that because a lot of it has to do with them bringing it. Their deity actually requires it. Little do they know, but I think at the top of the game, they do know the deity that they're serving is Set. They know this. They know this at the top. We're talking real today, y'all. I hope, y'all can hang. I really hope you can hang. Now, this is the ancestors game. I intended to talk about trust, but apparently this is the ancestors game right now. There's a lot at stake and a lot of loss at stake for the Moor. He has been lying to the world. And when the world finds out, the Moor is hoping that American Indians will sort of be there to not be there. It's hoping the American Indian will be on board with what he's telling the world, but we can't because you sacrificed us, brother. Brother, do you realize what you have done to American Indians? You sacrificed only us. So for you to now just expect us to have like just open arms like that, you sacrificed us to get to the top. But because we don't serve the deity that you serve, we know he's one of the deities, but we know his place. Moors, you don't know your place. Just like that's why you're, worshiping the deity that you're worshiping. You don't know your place, just like the deity don't know its place. There's a place for that deity, yo. He's supposed to be with Ra. He ain't even supposed to be among the living, as far as I know. He's supposed to be up there with Ra, because Ra can handle that Negro. Ra can handle that Negro. And what he's supposed to be doing is fighting the forces of darkness, because he controls the darkness, apparently. He's the master of the darkness, the prince of darkness. But Ra is the king. So he's supposed to be up there with Ra, not dealing with us. But he don't know his place. He's supposed to be with Ra, fighting the forces of Apep, so that the sun can shine every day. That's what was told in the ancient story. But half American Indians say, he ain't no Egypt. Again, know who you are from a Moor who knows, yo. Now, American Indians have the option of not believing this man. I'm believing him because the thing, it's not a belief, y'all. It's a putting the pieces together. What pieces make sense versus the pieces that don't make sense. This piece that this brother's given in this paper that we looking at, maybe that makes all the sense. I'm reading this, and although it's pissing me off, I'm like, well, I can't deny that he got the order right, at least. Yeah, at least he got the order right. What Egypt was first and what Egypt was second. We can't be mad at him. I can't be mad at him for that, yo. I can't. But then the Moors have to do a tap dance around that. Why are the Moors denying the Egypt in America? Because they don't want American Indians to be known as firstborn. These are a second-born type of people that would rather Africa have that out of Africa theory. So these are, again, Moors willfully turn their backs on the ancestors. Then they forced American Indians to turn our backs on the ancestors. But again, the American Indians are doing it unknowingly and under heavy duress. We are under American Indians. Ain't no duress in the world like the duress in American Indians. Number one, we the ones that rejected this stuff. So for us to have to be forced because of generations of our people who may not have known our origin due to the Moors, for us to be forced, the forcing is going to be forcing. They are shoving this down our throat. They don't care if we choke. The Moors have to convince American Indians before they can get to the world. Now, they had the world, but once America comes on the scene, we are being held down in a way that ain't nobody ever been held down, yo. We are at the absolute bottom of the caste system of the world. We are at the bottom of the caste due to what a Moor is lying about. He didn't even give us the white status, y'all. He didn't even trust us with the white status in a commercial setup. He put us to the bottom. This is why he did it, y'all, because of the Egypt in the West, old Egypt. That is our birthright. And American Indians will hate me for saying that. You don't know how precious I am to you right now. You just don't know. And I'm saying that with all the humility I have. If you don't claim what came first, baby, you can't be first. You are a firstborn people. You're mad at me because I'm telling you how you are a firstborn people. because the Moors got your head on backward. I'm giving you what you need right now. I am. And again, I say that with the humility that the ancestors will grant me. I've seen this for years now. It's this is nothing new. If if you watch my videos, you'll realize this whole homie been pretty much. I mean, it got a little more fine tuned as he went along, but he pretty much been telling us this from the beginning about Egypt and America. He really, that's something that he's been saying for forever. And the ones who are most acquainted with this Egypt, which is the Washita Moors, they're the ones that's denying it the most. These are Indians denying this, y'all. They saying Indians don't got nothing to do with Egypt. Okay. Well, you just cutting yourself off from the oldest civilization. Okay, let me ask you this, Indians. What would make you old on Earth? Would it be a civilization or the windmills of your Moroccan mind? What's giving you first position, y'all? Is it a civilization or the windmills of your Moroccan mind? Okay, so then what's the first civilization? How are you claiming to be first, but you don't want the first civilization? How? What is it? Again, the windmills of your Moroccan mind influence? But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to believe exactly what the Egyptians believed, but you must know that that was our civilization. That was at the time it was the highest culture that was known. It is the first one. No, I should say. Don't get mad at me. I didn't do it, y'all. You can't be mad at me. Don't call me a liar. You know, look what this dude. This is a Moor telling you, but he's telling you the truth though. Now the Moors are going to make it all confusing. How to see how are the Moors going to tell you that there's an Egypt in Africa and that came first, and this brother is telling us that the old Egypt was in America. You see, he's not quite going with the narrative. He doesn't. I don't think the brother knows that he just really punked the fuck out of the Moors. I don't think he realized it. That's why I'm saying he's kind of a special case. He's a special case. He, he's 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 a special case, y'all. He must have American Indian blood in him because this is what's coming out of him. A Moor would not want him to say this. How could a Moor want him to say this, y'all? When a Moor is insisting that he's a North African and originate from North Africa. You see the problems, guys? So what now the Moors that insist they're North African, what are they going to say about this? That there's an Egypt in the, how are they going to maneuver around this? So that now they're going to have to say that we was Moors. But see, that's where we eat. Okay, number one, back in Egypt's time, they were not called Moors at all. They may have been the Amen priesthood. That I would say that's what they was. Wait, didn't he say that to us? No, did he say that at any point? Yeah. No, he's trying to put it to Amaru. Yeah. Okay. Uh, the most powerful priesthood was the Amen priesthood. But they were monotheistic. They were beginning to change the spiritual system to a one God. But the one God that they chose is Set, because Set is the one that gets rid of his older brother. So what the Moors did is they chose a second born deity. And the second born deity has them murdering the firstborn brother. You see? So when you choose a deity that is second born, if for you to get first place, you have to become a murderer like him, but call it a sacrifice. And then you eat the king's body and drink the king's blood. Do you see? Because now you're going to try to become him, but you're not. That's what the Moors are doing. They're trying to become us, but they're not. And apparently the ancestors do not wish to be completely genocided. They can't be. Let me tell you something. Ancestors cannot be killed, y'all. Do you understand that? They can be ignored. They cannot be killed. So this fight that the priests have us in, it's a fight for eternity. And it would be an eternity of ignoring the most ancient of our ancestors. Why? Why would we do that? In a world where other people don't, they work, the ancestors that they are worshiping, luckily for them, that is their first ancestors but for American Indians, we go back further. That's what the Moors want. They want for us to not go back further. They want us to start where they begin so that they can claim firstborn. And then we become one with them. And so that's how they become firstborn. But they're not. So what I'm trying to say, American Indians, the Moors, they have to have you, but they have to have you be them so that they can claim. It's a come up for the Moors. When American Indians join with Moors, it's a come up for Moors, not for American Indians. So I guess this video is going to be about this. Sorry. Um, so uh yeah, this first paragraph is just everything. It just in one paragraph. Now further down, he tells us, you know, stuff that is a little confusing because he talking about, the 1787 Morocco Treaty of Peace, but there was no Morocco in Africa or America when this treaty was made. You see what I'm saying? And he even tells us that. He says, uh, in this one, oh, here we go with the seal. We talked about this before, though. The eagle holding the arrows is for the European, but the pyramid is the Moorish seal. But see, this is why this article is it's just so priceless, you know? So maybe we should highlight that. Okay. That's on the dollar bill. Let's see. Uh yeah. That's gotta, I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, yeah. Because that's the government that they created. See, this one he's telling us that the Moors created this government. But see, this government came with colonization. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? American Indian, read what is being said here. Evidence of this two-system government can be found on the back of a $1 bill. Notice the two seals, which suggest two governments. This brother, I gotta say, I hope he's willing to become American again. I really do, because what he's bringing, we need this, y'all. We need this. But it would be great if he really comes the full circle and rejects the Moorish uh, indoctrination. Again, Islam doesn't even go back to the BC time frame. American Indians do. That's what Moors want to get rid of, y'all. He wants to make you a more of a AC or AD type of people like he is. He just got his religion in the 7th century AD. So it's a brand new thing trying to get rid of the old thing. Is that not uh Jacob? Is that not the Jacob he speaks of? Is that not him himself? The is that not set? If you go back with the ancient story of the brother who actually went ahead and murdered his brother, is 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 the Moor not acting like Set when he tells you that you're the first thing, but he wants you to go with uh, a AD religion called Islam, and he's going to make up all kinds of things to say, well, it wasn't, it was here before, but it just wasn't here before, but it was here before. More, could you stop it? Could you just stop it? Islam did not come on the scene till even it didn't come till way after Christ. My gosh, they're younger than Christians, y'all. Oh, this is not good, y'all. This is sometimes when you really lay it out, it's like, oh my gosh, you all really something. So it's almost like you made yourself a third born. I mean, because even Christianity predates Islam. What happened, y'all? It was the priest though. The priests created Christianity, but then they saved themselves they had to get people to be somewhat in the realm of monotheism, but they had to do it very carefully because we were used to having we had a Trinity, but it was not the Mary Joseph Jesus Trinity. It was the Osar Aset Heru Trinity. So what the priesthood did was the people had moved slowly. The priests already know what the goal was, but the people were not down with it. So they had to drag us through Christianity. And then Christianity had to bring the Hebrew Israelite story because they had to. Why did that happen? Because they had to change the parents of Heru. So when I say they want your children, it's also in their religion because of the two trinities, it is the Heru character that's pivotal in the Trinity once it becomes a Christian Trinity. So basically, Jesus is replacing Heru. So Jesus becomes the central figure, but he's replacing Heru. And because they don't want to deal with Heru's parents, they got to give Jesus what they're going to say is somewhat Hebrew parents, but then they're going to go a step further and say, but no, that's not his mother was his parent, but we don't know the father was a spirit. So you have a patrilineal religion with no father in one of their religions. So what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, Jesus is more adopted than he is bloodline, and that's a problem. But that's not a problem for me as an American Indian because I don't subscribe to any of that. If I'm going to go with a Trinity, I'm going to be, for me as an American Indian, I have to go with the earliest one that my people knew, and that would be the Osar Aset Heru, or what they also call Osiris, Isis, and Horus. That's the Greek version of their name. Another shout out I have to do right now to the same person I shouted out before, uh, American heiress. She was talking about Osar in one of her videos. And I was again shocked because typically American Indians do not want to talk about Osiris. And I was very happy to see that American heiress, she knows it. She knows about that. But the Moors, again, the Moors are the only ones that's really as a entity, they don't really want to talk about Osar. Osar would be the character that their god murdered. Set. Their god is Set. Now, I say a lot of things about Moors, but this is one thing I also have to say. The god that the Moors are serving is Set because that is the supplanter. And what they're doing with American Indians is they're taking an older people and they keep sunning us. but they do it all the while rubbing our ego. But what they're going to actually try to do is take a remnant of us, the Iroquois or the civilized tribes, and they are going to graft into them. And that's the only way that they're going to get to live, because the rest of the American Indian family is very actively being genocided. So the Moors just need those that they can influence to be Moors, and they're going to quote unquote save you. But you won't be American. You'll be like Joanna in the Stepford Wives. You're not the same person anymore. I mean, yeah, we're not going to get all into it, but he tells you about the intermarriage down here. He's talking about France. I think the French were the first to get all. Oh, wait, he mentions Akhenaten. That's the Pharaoh Akhenaten. Yeah, okay. He's not talking too much about it, but he does see him as Moses. Hey, see, you see what I'm saying? See, this is why this dude. Oh man, I just wish he could really get into his Indian and give all this stuff up. Though we really could use a dude like him to educate the uncivilized Indians and the civilized. But we would need him to rededicate himself to being an American Indian, which is the oldest culture. You don't need the Moors in that. The Moors need you. That's why they like a fly, near horse shit. They can't leave us alone, y'all. And we said that before. If they could just leave us alone, I think we'd be okay. But they can't. They can't leave us alone. They have a two-part mission. They have to graft a remnant of us into their system, and the others they have to sacrifice to the deity. They have to sacrifice to the deity. And the deity is on board with it because the deity, Set, is the first spiritual murderer. Set is the first god that murders. That's why we are in a death cult today. Now, I would say that what they're not saying is he no doubt must have practiced the drinking of the blood of the king that he sacrificed. And he probably ate the flesh. But that's like definitely what he got his followers doing. So remember when we said Akhenaten, he's right here. Sorry, he's the one that got expelled. Akhenaten is the one that took this thing so far. He took this death cult so far that that's when we started expelling. He had to go, y'all. It was brewing from the time that the dynasties began, but Akhenaten brought it to a head. He is the one that Horace Butler is trying to tell us when he says Moses, he found the writings of Moses. Remember, I tell you what he really talking about is one of the Tutmosis or Amoses. Okay, so he says there was a group of Egyptians that got expelled from America. When he mentions Moses, it's a nod to Akhenaten, y'all. And this dude is affirming that. So we have two witnesses. We have Horace Butler, and we have one that the civilized tribe should be all on board with. This dude, what's his name again? Let's go here. I'm sorry. Amenhotep Chavez El Bey. There he is right here. Well, wait a minute. I was trying to get to his page. But let me see. They don't have his picture. Usually when you click on the name, it takes you right to and it used to. I think they took the picture now. This used to take you to his picture. And they had his bio and everything. Maybe he got, maybe he Maybe he's starting to become an American Indian again, and they took his picture down. Why? His picture used to be here, y'all. It's not here anymore. Amunhotep Shafes El Bey. Um, he is telling us, along with Horace Butler, that Moses is really associated with the dynasty, the 18th dynasty, where Akhenaten was. Akhenaten, if we go with Horace Butler, he's the one that got sent to, well, let's put you this way. I don't know where they went, but they had to get put out of here. Now they ended up in Africa. Hence, the out of Africa theory is what this priesthood is now pushing. That's how they despise American Indians, by making us second when you got expelled from us. Priesthood. The Amen priesthood was the priesthood of Akhenaten. But they try to say he was against the priesthood. No, the hell he wasn't. The most powerful priesthood, wouldn't that make him the most powerful pharaoh if he had the most powerful priesthood behind him? No way that he was against the Amen priesthood. If what they had in common is they both were monotheistic. Now they're going to say Akhenaten want to worship the Aten. The Amen priesthood want to worship Amen. Same difference. They're both monotheistic. So don't tell me no crap about Akhenaten was against the Amen priesthood. He was working right along with them. That's why we only know about him. When y'all see this face, y'all know, most of you are very extremely familiar with Akhenaten. Yes, he was a brother. Yes. At least he's depicted as one. But he so went against the brothers that he might have been mixed. I don't know. Well, his wife definitely didn't appear to be of the same race he was. I think well, let's not focus on her right now. Nefertiti was his wife. So we all know about Nefertiti. We all know about King Tut. We all know about this dude. Uh, uh, so let's just focus on one picture. I kind of, let's see, will that bring us there? Yeah. Okay. Most of us know of this face, but there's a problem. American Indians should not know this face because he's the one that we erased from our record. Once we expelled that ass, we didn't want him to be remembered. He's the one that went all the way with the monotheism. He forced other temples to be closed in order to worship the Aten, which became Amen. Aten is a disc with a bunch of arms coming out of it. That's what he wanted people to worship. Before that, people were worshiping or honoring deities that looked human and they were copper colored. He took all of that and had people worshiping basically the image of a sun disk with many arms and hands coming out of it. So he he took an ancestor and took away his personhood. He took away the race of the ancestor and the face and or appearance of the ancestor. So now you don't know the ancestor. If you took my picture, my image and likeness, whatever, and replaced me with an inanimate object or something, um, people won't have they won't know where I'm from. They won't have any idea of the people I come from. These deities were connected to people, you see, but the priesthood took it all away and they erased people. And the funny thing is, in their corporate system, that's exactly what they're doing. They're changing you into a dead entity. They're making you a straw man. They're Stepford wifing. They don't want to deal with the living man and woman, y'all. And this is on all fronts. They'd rather see you as an all capital letter entity. And then what they do with you, they assault you. The way I love the way Glenn Fern puts it. He's like the male version of Anna von Reitz. He says, I'm being assaulted with the Commerce Clause. That's exactly what's going on here, y'all. That's why Indians don't want to do any commercial entities like trust when there's living men and women to do that for you. Yeah, yeah. We don't register anything in the state because we predate states. Registering with a state, you're making yourself a son to a state. You are the father of the state, if anything. Father and the mother of the state. The state is your baby. The baby comes to you. Okay. You don't go to the baby to do your business. The baby comes to you. So the state really has to recognize whatever Indians create. That's the new old thing on the block. So yeah, this is the dude that we shouldn't remember because we expelled him and we called him what? A heretic. Akhenaten, this dude right here, is known as a heretic. He went so across the street with it, as my phrase my brother coined, as far as I know, and I told him I'd be using it from now on. Akhenaten went so across the street with it. When my brother said it, I started cracking up immediately on the spot. He went so across the street with it that we had to send that ass across the damn ocean with it. He got expelled. It was not an exodus. The original story was not an exodus. But the Moors and priesthood, they cook up. They didn't want us to leave. Oh, yes, we did, my Negro. We wanted you gone. We we not only did we want you out, we wanted you the hell out. So please don't flatter yourself. This is what our ancestors did. American Indians ancestors, when they saw where the priesthood was going, that's when they decided they don't need a priesthood. We'll just have chiefs. Let's just keep it simple. These dynasties, they don't seem to have our best interests. And that was what the case. These priests, we don't advocate violence against anyone, including the priest. But they do need to honor what our ancestors done. What our ancestors did was get rid of you. If Horace Butler says it was a civil war, oh, it was much deeper than that. It was not a civil war, it's a religious war. They don't want you to know what they did with the deities. That's why they call it a civil war. It was ancestorcide, not genocide, ancestorcide that brought on the genocide. Akhenaten was a heretic, or known as a heretic by our people, because he was the biggest offender when it came to ancestor side. A video we saw said that he became the object of worship. That I didn't know, but this video said that it's like he wanted to be worshipped because he created Aten. So if you create the deity, then you're gonna want some props, right? But I tell you, he was only doing what the priesthood instructed him to do. And the priesthood gave themselves a little out because they trying to say we wasn't down with the I-10. We was the I-men, not the I-10. Same damn difference. See, the priesthood put Akhenaten on Front Street, and they stayed hidden, but they was the most powerful thing. They had acquired so much land, just like what you see the priesthood doing today. They want Americans' land, and American Indians don't have no say. Even the civilized tribes don't have any say, but those are not the original civilized tribes. So I bet the original civilized tribes are having probably their way on Algonquin land. Because as we deduced, and I think we sort of talked about here, definitely that all that land that you see the civilized tribes on was formerly Algonquin. That's the only thing that makes sense, y'all. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been no fight. The civilized tribes were welcoming of the foreigners. So why would the foreigners have to fight them? But there was a fight. And what happened was that the Iroquois, empowered with the British, uh, are said to have won the war against Algonquin. So that the British needed them to do that. So then the British could say, I now have no reason to even talk about Algonquins. Since you beat them down for me, Iroquois, well, we know that how we did that was by just calling them black, really. But since you won, quote unquote, the war, we declared you the winner of the war, Iroquois, Confederacy, and civilized tribes, basically. So we only deal with you now. And we promote everything you say about Indy. We don't want to hear about what Powhatan might have thought. He gone now. In fact, they think in their mind, I think they married in again. Once they had Pocahontas, they figured we Indians too now. But now we still gonna get rid of the ones that we're gonna call black. So so here's what happened, y'all. I'm gonna try to explain it. You had Algonquins, right? When the Europeans got here. Europeans decide the deal that King Powhatan is offering them, they require more land than that. Although there are not even that many of these damn settlers, it's like that little piece of land just ain't going to do. Okay, so what can we do? They did two things, y'all. They didn't just join or create the Iroquois. They married into Algonquin. So they're doing two things. They're becoming Algonquin, but once they become Algonquin, all they need was the blood. They don't need your name. They don't need to talk about anything Algonquin anymore. Oh, the language too, because that's going to become lingua franca. So they did take a lot from us, y'all, as the original Algonquins, all of us in the Eastern Woodlands. And as far as the Pacific Ocean, we're Algonquins. So what they did with us, y'all, they became elite by marrying us, the Algonquin. But then they submitted to our enemy so that they don't have to talk about us anymore. And when they don't talk about us, they don't tell the story. So by them becoming us and then submitting to Iroquois, now they can talk about a turtle. And you'll never hear about old grandfather. Old grandfather in our creation story dealt with a muskrat. A muskrat, as we always say, is indigenous to America. A turtle is not indigenous to America. So only foreigners would refer to America as Turtle Island, namely Moors. And on top of that, they need a turtle that's growing. The key factor in the turtle story is that it has to grow. So what they're saying is after they become Algonquin and erase Algonquin, they supplanted us, but they don't want us to exist as, so they call us black. So now Algonquins are basically white, but they're going to submit to the Negropeans that are Iroquois and Cherokee and the five civilized tribes. And together, they're going to make the two system government that we talked about, that Al Shabdas Bey told us about. Okay, so we looked at him enough. Okay. So Amenhotep Al Shabazz Bey, guys, this I didn't occur to me before, but now it's occurring to me. The mm, I'm thinking the Europeans are now the Algonquins because once they got Pocahontas, they started having babies with Pocahontas, and that's when the black-white caste system came. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, the two-system government. So now they don't want you to know how Europeans became like royalty by marrying into Pocahontas, right? So now they don't tell that story so much. They're going to defer to the Iroquois worldview because they, together with the Iroquois, are going to create a two system government. Plus, they always given the credit to Iroquois. So the two system government can be found, evidence of the two system government can be found on the back of a $1 bill. Notice the two seals, which suggest two governments. The seal of the Great Pyramid with an eye above it is the Moorish seal. The other seal with the bald eagle holding 13 Now we know why the bald eagle is copper and white. Oh, yes, the ancestors are lovely today. We're gonna just let the ancestors rock it out. Yeah, I had a plan, so watch. I don't really want to talk about them damn trusts anyway, y'all. Because it's a no. It's a hard no. I don't want to explain. Y'all don't want me to explain anyway. Because you say I take too damn long anyway. The short video was really said it all. Why am I trying to go deeper with it? Y'all, I just figured out why the bald eagle is, oh my God. Oh, ancestors. Oh my God. Oh my God. Ancestors. The bald eagle represents the white head that took over the Algonquins, y'all. That's why they have a bald eagle, y'all. When I first said it, I didn't figure out why the eagle got a white head and a brown body, and they just love them. Why they choose that? Because the Moors are only dealing with the Algonquins that have been married into and now are white. So the nigger Algonquins, oh yeah, we gonna be African and we ain't gonna hear nothing about Algonquin because that's gonna wake up our we gonna wake up when we hear Algonquin. So they don't talk about that no more. So they married into a family and then genocided the Algonquin family, basically. But all of this land was Algonquin. So oh boy. And the Algonquin, from what I remember, we were at one point we had a good relationship with the French. So we spoke fluent French. I believe Algonquin is French. Truth be told, I believe what they're calling French is actually Algonquin or some kind of dialect or part, but the base is Algonquin. French, y'all, is a version of Algonquin. Okay. But then when they make lingua franca, that becomes English. My auntie told me that my grandmother spoke fluent French. My father spoke French. That's because we were first infiltrated by French, but it was a light infiltration. When Giovanni came to the Roanoke, that's when the French. Wait a minute, Giovanni. He was. We might have to relook at that, y'all, because I keep getting him confused. But nevertheless, it was a French language between the uh the Roanoke Indians and um the French. And we had the beaver trade going on. Um, okay. I don't know what wait. He might not have been the one, but I all I know is that yeah, I'm looking something up, y'all. Pardon. Okay, so he was Italian. All right. Nevertheless, there was a French influence because that's what Algonquins were speaking because we had the fur trade going on. But I'm starting to think that was our language. And the French are just the European version is called French. The American version is called Algonquin. That's what I'm thinking. Oh. But what I want to say is it is known that Algonquins and French, we spoke the same language in terms of it was called French, and the that's how they were able to commute. That's how we were able to communicate with the French, you know. But I do think that our language predates theirs. I know it does, and I think that they're just like the English are using Algonquin. I believe the French are using Algonquin as well, and they're making it like theirs came first. But what it is these priests were American originally, right? But they're denying America. So they are birthright despisers. So they brought the language to Europe, right? Would that make sense? Whatever language we had here, the priests took it to Europe and said it was first there. We're going to take a quick break and I shall return. We're back and going to go back to our share screen. I believe this is where we were. Excuse me. So, um, I had a thought to say while I was on my brief break. When Indians are done playing colonizer games and commercial games with their land and their identity, uh, hopefully they will finally realize that it is the Algonquins that they originally were. Right now, American Indians are basically patrons of a Moorish version of their story. What is going to happen is there's going to become on the land an American Indian story of American Indians. And when the compromised civilized Indians realize that they have sold out for $1, hopefully they'll realize it's a much better deal for us to join under an uncivilized banner. And the most uncivilized Indians were Algonquin. As it stands right now, there is so much association with colonizer with the word Iroquois and the civilized tribes. They are so associated with colonizer that it might be the thing to do to just give it all up. Not only that, now the civilized tribes are associated with Mongolians. So it's like the writing is on the wall. Just become Algonquin again to make America great again. I almost feel we should call it Algonquia. I think I said that before. If that's the language we speak, like all other countries in Europe, Germans speak German, French speak French. Uh, England is a special case. But once we take Algonquin, we won't any longer be confused with England, right? We don't want to be confused with England. When you confuse yourself, say, with a murderer or a rapist, then you become associated with such, right? Now, we're not saying all Brits are that. We're just saying you don't want the association. So if we start calling our language Algonquin again, we won't be confused with anybody. And it will get the confusion out of the word America because there's so many different renditions of how that word came to be. It's like Algonquian or Algonquia would just sort of make it a little simpler. That's the language, that's the country. How about that? Does it make sense, y'all? So perhaps we first birthright American Indians might call our little what do we want to call it? Our who? Our tribe. I mean, maybe that's the word. Uh, or our identity should be what the original language was, which Algonquin. If English is based on Algonquin, we need to be Algonquin, right? That's what's being erased, y'all. The whole Algonquin language, the people, we, how we will know for sure that we're not part of any colonizer system is we become the Indians that they first found here, which were Algonquins. That's how that will automatically make us the first thing that they found. That's why they don't like that word, y'all. They want to make like, oh, we were here, but soon after the Algonquins just died from the smallpox. And so only the Iroquois and the 5 civilized tribes were left. So we had no choice but to do quote unquote business, which is conquest, with the business of conquest with these leftovers Negroes. So sorry, we wanted to do business with the Algonquins, the business of conquest, but they wasn't here We tried, though. Yeah, I know you did. You definitely tried something. That's what we can agree upon. You did try something, but I hope American Indians will see if we reclaim the first Indians they found here, that will put us back where we need to be. That would do a lot of the work for us. We won't have to reinvent the whole wheel. We already got a clue with the language, Algonquin, the people that they found here, Algonquin. Why don't we just call ourselves First Nation Algonquin uh, Woodland Indians? Uh, and that will put us in first place, y'all. There will be no question because the history books already have us as first. Iroquois, that's an Algonquin word, so that'll take care of that, you know. Uh, Cherokee are Iroquois, so that takes care of that, you know. These other words are just ways that colonizer, it was for him to know which Indians he punked and got to believe his bullshit. So words like Iroquois, Cherokee, Muskogee, uh, Creek, Chickasaw, what's the other one? Choctaw, Seminole. All that says is them is the Indians that we compromise. They good, but if we don't go by that no more, there's no more compromised Indians. If we go by the first Indians that were found here, Algonquin, you just call us ourselves the first land ancestral Algonquin Indians. And that right there will take care of everything. And then the Indians that want to get on board with that, how we'll know that you're back in your right mind is that you'll be okay being Algonquin because you know where that puts you. Put you as the first thing that colonizer saw when he got here. He didn't see no Iroquois. He didn't see no Muskogee. Because even when he got to the South, again, he found Algonquin speaking Indians. Wouldn't it make sense for us to call our land as a whole Algonquia? The whole area of not just the United States, but truly, they already shoved us Algonquins into Canada, so that's already ours. Mexico, well, we got to understand that the whole Spanish, any Spanish acquisitions were also done under the Doctrine Act of Discovery. So that brings South America back. Uh, and yeah, but for North America and Canada, that's Algonquin. Yeah, the Caribbean very likely that's America too, though. So, but the language spoken, what was that? Was it Arawak? We'd have to look deeper. But anyway, I'm very happy with this video so far, only because of the ancestors. See, when if you kind of freestyle it a little bit, it is a little bit all over, but I really was happy with the drop we got about the bald eagle. Basically, the Moors were okay with that bald eagle being on the seal because that represents the Algonquins now headed by Europeans. The brown body of the eagle represents the Algonquin. But the Moors wanted to put a white head, hence the white status. So the eagle has now, it's got it's being led by the head, which is white. And so the Moors don't have to worry about Algonquins who are left because they become black with a white-headed eagle. The copper is just there to show that once you take over the Algonquin brown copper body, they become black and the white people. So it's a black and white thing. And the eagle is controlling the colonies. and the Moors are dividing Virginia up into these other alleged states, but they're not really states because they started out as territories acquired by the federal government, so they're territories. They're territorial states, whereas the 13 colonies are just states. That happened before the federal government, right? The federal government only consisted it only dealt with the 13 states at first, but then it went, knowing that it had the doctrine of discovery and the area of Virginia reaching out to the Pacific, they knew what they had from Powhatan. So they knew that it's just a matter of time that for them to just displace all those Indians as they head west toward the Pacific. Okay, so we just wanted to look at some of the gems that we got from Amenhotep Shafas El Bey. He just gave us so much here to work with. Thank you. So we pulled him up because we wanted to show that and prove what he said. The Egypt, the original one, he's confessing to us. The original Egypt was the old Egypt was the one of the West. In America, Indians who don't want to deal with that just continue on in ignorance. I'm sorry, that's what you're choosing. Because I understand why you don't want to be associated with anything that is you think is foreign, but I'm trying to tell you that Egypt is not foreign to America. It was reared up in America, but what happened is the priesthood, they really started they went across the street with it, and so we had to kick their ass across the ocean with it. Like we said, they was going all the way monotheistic, borrowing from our deities to give to other people, but then erasing us in the process. So the priests betrayed the ancient Americans' ancestors. They betrayed them. That's why we call Akhenaten a heretic. Yeah, we call this dude a heretic. This dude, we call him a heretic. Then he goes on to create the three monotheistic religions. And the people don't know what the price. The people that follow these religions, they really don't have an idea of the high price that American Indians paid. The American Indians were the sacrifice for these new religions, y'all. And they don't see, that's why the people are not guilty. It's the priesthood. They knew what they were doing. People didn't know what was going on. They're being told that their sins are forgiven and all this, so they're going with it. First of all, they was called sinners to begin with. They're just a product of sin. That's all. The priesthood is the one that everybody is really being sacrificed for, because they're following a deity that sacrificed his own brother. That's what Moors are doing. It looks like, oh, he just wants me to be associated with him and be like him. But your brother never makes it a requirement. Your real brother never makes it a requirement that you be like him. The whole point of brotherhood, if you ask me, is that brothers love and accept each other as they are. They don't try to pull, the younger brother ain't trying to say, no, when I came, the world that I was in is the real world. When you was born, that was just some bullshit. God didn't know you because you was a heathen. But when I was born, that's when things start popping. Now, why don't you just follow me and believe what I believe? That's what the Moors are trying to do. It's very disrespectful. It's very disrespectful to an elder. It's very extremely disrespectful. Disrespectful. So yeah, the Moors are being revealed, and now, as we said before, there's at least one other channel that I know of that really letting them know, y'all got to give that identity up. But I think for us to be thorough, we have to give up even the trust system that we have connected to these states. What the legal foundation of this is that what came first is the authority. So if we rely on states, we're giving up our authority as the first people that were here before the states. That's why an American Indian must claim the land that they had before states arrived. That's how the state, that's the nod for the states to know why we're taking authority over them. But if we keep building trust in them and going to their legal system, they're going to say, well, I'm the thing that you come to, so why don't you just make me your Lord and Master? Well, I've done that. And the thing is, the states were not really the Lord and Master anyway. It was the federal government that took control of American Indians, y'all. The federal government, along with the Supreme Court, that's Congress. Congress is what took control. So it's like, say now each state has a representative, right? Those representatives gather in Congress, but they done created something else that the states ain't involved in. What they did was basically create the civilized tribes. And then they bossed up on all the other Indians. So Congress is sitting there, but the real fun that they get to have is with American Indians, because that's the ones they can boss up on. Now, when the states deliver the white people who were the original citizens, when the states deliver them to the feds, now Congress is punking everybody. Indians, blacks, whites, foreigners. Congress is really doing what the priesthood did when they bossed up on the people before their asses got kicked out. Now, we don't advocate violence. We just use that as a euphemism, so whatever you call it. We just talking it allegorically. It's an allegoric violence, but it's not really physical violence. The pen is mightier than the sword. So, as I'm doing this video, I'm realizing that's really the only way I will feel like we've established authority is if we go in as original Algonquins. That would so honor Chief Powhatan's legacy. It would redeem Pocahontas. Not that she needs, it's not that she actually needs redeeming. It's just that what Pocahontas intended is not necessarily what her colonizing in-laws intended. So the in-laws had some other idea. Pocahontas was always, what I read about her, she just wanted everybody to get along. She didn't intend for her children of her husband to turn on the children of her father, if you can catch that. Do you think this Pocahontas would have, as much love as her father had for her and she had for him, why would she want her in-laws to come and just decimate her side of the family and call them black, while the lighter skin of her husband's family come in and basically join forces with the Iroquois? And with that, they don't even talk about Iroquois no more. We just need that little heifer so we can have some babies. That's all once we murdered that ass, we was in. So now how can we work this together, Iroquois? What can we do now? I'm here now. What can we do? I done married into your enemy. I'm your friend now. What can we do? Well, I guess we could start by calling, everybody in Virginia black. But that's not even something. I don't even think the Iroquois thought that up. But definitely the Moors. They're the ones that are the masters of the caste systems all around the world. So yeah, if American Indians don't, we have to go from okay. The argument for using Algonquin is because that automatically puts us where we need to be. Some Indians will say, but I'm Cherokee. That's you as a colonized Indian, you're Cherokee. In your birthright capacity, you're an Algonquin, especially you Cherokee, especially you Cherokee. I'm not talking about the Mongolian Cherokees. I'm not talking about Mongolian anything unless I'm talking about them going back to Mongolia. Which, that's just respectfully. I'm not trying to diss them. They've been lied to as well. And they're cutting off their ancestors because of the Moors as well. So, back to, so El Chavez Bay, Chavez El Bay, I should say. He's given us a lot here. He's given us a lot. He might have taken his picture down because he realized, oh boy. And that's just the awakening you're having, like we all having, brother. So don't even feel bad about it, yo. Uh, he's like, he's like an Anna figure to me. With all this juicy stuff he put up in this, it's priceless. This, in other words, if you want to know what the Moors are all about and what they thinking, just read this, but then understand, oops, something going wrong here. Something going wrong. They talking about, we already talked about this with the consular court, so we're not going to do that over. But the Moors are saying, what's a consular court? It's a tribunal convened by public officials who reside. So they're talking about Moors who are residing in America as a foreign country to protect the interests of their country, Morocco, for the settlement of civil cases based on situations that happen in the foreign nation. So they're making Indians foreign like they are. Yeah. And again, they had a treaty before they existed. So they were a corporation. But somewhere in here, we said he was talking about uh, um, when the 1956 is when Morocco was created in Africa, but 1856, I believe, is when they said there was a Morocco in America. And I think that's what they took out of this article. I think that was because I never have found it again, unless I was reading something else and maybe made a mistake. But let's see if we could do a search for 1856. 1856. Oh, it's not in here. But let's do Morocco because, or he tells us that I believe it was this article where he says he's going to go with the Morocco in America because here we go, here we go. Okay, okay, okay. It was once the capital of the world. America was the capital of the world until the Moors got kicked out, and so now then they said, nope, not America no more. It's Africa now. Okay, so avoid the hijack too. Because when you Google Morocco, Indiana, it will tell you that it was founded in 1851. I'm sorry, I got the date wrong. Okay, so we need to highlight this because this is another of the gifts that keep giving. Oh, when you Google Morocco, Indiana, the only problem is that the Morocco in North Africa wasn't founded until 1956. This is great. but it doesn't explain the treaty in 1787. See, that's why I was looking at this, y'all. Because when you Google Morocco, Indiana, it will tell you that it was founded in 1851, based off of the Morocco that is in North Africa. But the only problem is that the Morocco that is in North Africa wasn't founded until 1956. This is great. But you still have not explained to me, bro, and maybe you will. I'm not mad at you. How did you get a treaty in 1787? The 1787 Morocco Treaty of Peace and Friendship. How could you get that when there's no Morocco, though? 1787 is one date. Okay, but the one in America was founded in 1856. That's what's that, like 100 years? Is that 100 years difference? Let's do the math, though. This is getting interesting, though. So, 18, I'm whipped out my phone calculator, y'all. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. Okay, so where's my calculator? Oops, that's not it. My calculator and my calendar look so similar. For some reason, I get them mixed up. They kind of, sort of, I don't know why. I don't know. 1851 minus 1787. Oh, that's 64 years, y'all. Uh, the time between uh the Morocco in North America, 64 years before the Morocco in America, there was a Morocco Treaty of Peace and Friendship. So where is that 1787 Morocco located? In the windmills of your Moroccan mind, you mad, breathing more. So y'all got just keep looking at the screen, look at the dates. Let's look at the dates. There's a treaty in 1787 before any Morocco on earth existed. Uh, that's what this is saying. So this was just this article. Oh my gosh. So from there so here we got a brother breaking down the truth for us, right? And so I want to show, basically that America's first. Indians came first before the federal government. Uh, did we show that here though? No, we talked about it. This was just to show the the ludicrousy of the Moorish narrative, you know. But also the last consular court of Morocco was abolished. So any court that they had in America was no longer after 1956 when they said they gave the court was abolished because we chose civil rights. Well, did you see what was going on before civil rights, Amor? Did you know why we were coerced into civil rights? Wasn't them your boys that was wearing the sheets with the crescent moon on it, looking like some kind of uh a terroristic Santa Clauses? They had like the Christmas outfits, like they had a Merry Christmas Islam outfit on, y'all. It's like I didn't know Islam, was about Santa Claus, but those outfits that they had in Jim Crow era was like red and white with a crescent moon. It looked like a Islamic Bin Laden Santa Claus. Happy Merry Christmas, yo. It's like what's going on? Isn't it amazing that we wasn't terrorized by Santa Claus, yo? Although some kids, when you said them on that dude's lap, they start screaming. The ancestors would say, "No, no, no, get me off this." But yeah, they don't know the climate we was in when this dude. This is where I kind of got to read him a little bit. Do you know why we took or sought civil rights? You know what they was doing to American Indians up in this piece? They had them demonic Santa Clauses chasing us in the field and shit, and then hanging us on the Christmas tree like a freaking ornament. Shit, so y'all didn't see that happening? You Moors? Y'all didn't see the Christmas tree in the backyard with human Christmas ornaments on it? Y'all didn't see that. Y'all thought it was really just Christmas. Okay. Um, we don't make light of that, ladies and gentlemen. It was American Indians were going through it on their own land, y'all. It's one thing to be taken to some foreign place and treated bad, but where do you run to when the devil is on your ancestral land, wearing a Christmas Merry Christmas version of the crescent moon and star, and then going to try to turn us into our own worst enemy by preaching that to us when brothers are incarcerated. Anyway, so yeah, this is why I will never thank the ancestors enough because I can't because of what this Amenhotep Shafes El Bey has provided. It's a lot in this, y'all. Okay. So now he's one of our heroes now, the writer of this article, which I will now link. I should have been linked it when I did the video, the five civilized tribes on Moors. I should have been linked it. I only just linked it today, y'all. That's how slow I am. I told you there's a little autism in my family. So yeah. So then we want to go to here because he's setting us up. This dude, Amenhotep Chavez El Bey, he's helping us to see what came first, the Egypt in America or the Egypt in Africa. Okay, so then who are the civilizers of the world? Was it Africa? No. Africa got it from us, right? But we didn't want it no more. Well, we wanted the civilization. We just didn't want these priests no more. I think we were the first to forcefully separate church and state. Well, we didn't call it states, but we was the first to not want church involved in our affairs. Okay, we are literally the first quote unquote Americans. And that's why they celebrate. The ironic thing, y'all, is that they celebrate our legacy of advocating for religious freedom of our people. They celebrate it at the same time genociding us. It's like they want to give homage to you and then call your land the land of the free. Yeah, because we kicked your ass out, but you came back, and now you riding on our reputation for extracting religious forces out of our politics, right? So you riding on our coattails, Morris, because y'all are not about separation of religion and politics, but then you using us as your little storefront, taking our legacy, twisting it all up like it's yours, when you are the exact opposite for the reasons I just said. You never separated religion from your politics. You never did, y'all. So stop lying. And I keep reading that the Moors had religious tolerance. Well, they had to. They had to have some religious tolerance because they're the ones that brought Christianity and Islam. So they have to wait. They got to give the people a chance to catch up with the bullshit. Because I kept reading, some of the things I was reading. Oh, they were the first to have religious tolerance. No, they weren't. Americans was the first to, we had polytheism. Polytheism is religious tolerance. But the Moors don't like polytheism. They're not really the first. But I'm just saying they get that moniker, I guess, because they now have the people have already been indoctrinated to Christianity, but now the Moors want them to be Moors or Islamic. So they gotta wait now. Now they gotta wait. And if you take too long, they're gonna force you. So that's why they had tolerance, because they already knew they're already practicing one of our religions. Why should we be hard on them? But the reason why they had to go so hard on American Indians is because we was not practicing any of what they were doing. So they tolerated other people in other land, but they did not tolerate American Indians whatsoever. So let's get to the next slide. This was supposed to be a review, but it looked like it's going to be the whole video, y'all. I'm so sorry. It's just that some things came up that, at the end of the day, I'm kind of glad that they came up. But I wanted to introduce you to another one of my heroes. So Amenhotep El Chavez, Chavez El Bey is one of them because he really gave me the key to the civilized tribes. So now it's not just me saying something, it's Amenhotep Chavez El Bey is giving me the other parts of the puzzle. So he's one of our American Indian heroes, and ironically, the next one. Well, we always talk about Anna, and we talk about this guy also, but we want to revisit some of the things he said in his piece about American Indian sovereignty. So we also were saying this is how we know we're standing on a legal footing that is legitimate when we claim to be American Indians per Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, who are not under the jurisdiction of the United States, but the United States had a what do you call it? A safety switch so that they could turn off our sovereignty by using the doctrine of discovery whenever they wanted to. Because it was they who are called. Now, we Indians, we wouldn't want to go by the doctrine of discovery because that's not our best friend, right? But the government that we're under, the corporation, they will go by that because that's how they get rid of us. They go by the doctrine of discovery. That is against American. So what am I saying? I'm saying this is why Indians have to be separate, because as long as you're in a system that comes against you, there's no way you can really go forward unless you go foolishly forward. You can't go forward with something that's holding you back and holding you down. Creating a trust in that system is not, it's not, you're not moving forward. You're giving the jurisdiction to the state. So what I'm seeing overall is that as the feds are getting their day of reckoning, as we know, as of late, they said the federal government is shut down. Well, whoop-de-doo, they weren't supposed to be in those seats for 365 days of the year anyway. They need to go home and tend to their normal life, but they decided to make this their business, their life. Seats in Congress were not supposed to be a job. It was, I think originally it was more like a civic duty that you took, but it wasn't something that was your occupation. Because the idea was the white citizens, because the original citizens were white, as we know, right? Now we can all agree that citizenship was for white people originally. Okay. So them white people did not want to pay for some of their white people to sit on their ass 365 days of the year
when they only had 19 enumerated functions. I mean, at the most, maybe you work what, 20 days on each of those functions, maybe 20 days out the year. Today we work on that enumerated function. Tomorrow we work on the other enumerated function and do that for about 20 days. Maybe one day to just regroup and, summarize. So you got 20 because you got 19 enumerated functions. You need one day to sort of summarize what we did for these 19 days. But these lazy ass never thought they you could use that on them. They use it on us though, right? These lazy asses say we just want to sit on these seats and play boss, yo. So we're gonna create. Now now they have over 300. So according to Anna, they have over 300. So now they can sit there for the whole year because they have functions that last for the whole year. If you go 300, if there's 365 days of the year, and these rabid I don't know, theocracists, but was what some Indians would call them, or some people that I know would call them. Bureaucrats is a better word, I guess. They done figured out how to make over 300 enumerated functions so they can sit their ass there for all every day of the damn year. So now we supposed to be all like I guess upset because they not working today. That should make a nice dent in their fictitious public debt. If you could take your ass home and get a job, maybe y'all won't think you so superior. But see, this is all Moors taking over. That's how they take over your country, yo. People you elected to do something as a civic duty, they make it a career, and now you paying out top dollar for these folks to be your freaking lord and masters, because that's what they basically become once they got rid of state citizens and everybody became a United States citizen. Now they're all employees of the federal government because basically that's how they got us. Like they employed us. So now they make all these federal codes, rules, and regulations, and we wonder what the hell happened to the Constitution. Now they don't want people to have the Second Amendment. They're working diligently against the First Amendment. But by the time they finish with your ass, you might as well be in some freaking third world country with a monarchy, yo. You keep letting them convince you that you don't want your Bill of Rights. You just keep telling them that you don't want. We made a mistake. We don't want them. And mind you, it wasn't you who put them into effect. It was the people that know how government worked who thought that they could stave the Moors off, but the Moors are always 3, 4 steps ahead of the average white man, even. So he already put in the safety guards, but they thought if they could add a little something that would help, like the right to carry. That is for when your government goes rogue and then trying to come to your doorstep. They so damn rabid. That's when you gotta got. That's why the Second Amendment was there, y'all. It wasn't had nothing to do with no criminals. But they're gonna act like with all this surveillance, we still got too much gun crimes. Oh, come on, give me a freaking break. Give me a break. You just see the games, y'all, and Americans fall for it. The Americans that fall for it. One clue is they're still walking around with face diapers on. That's what some people call it, face diapers. And you know that those are the people you better not be, you better hope you're not near them. If should, God forbid, a revolution, because we don't advocate violence. We just, as American Indians, we have a standing. It's just a matter of getting these knuckleheads to stop playing games. But you don't want to be next to a diaper faced person when shit go down, if shit go down. Because they're going to be, you know what they're going to everything master tell them to. I'm sorry, this got to stop. I see people like that, and it bothers me. You know, it bothers me because I realize I could tell them the sky is green, and they go, but they're gonna believe it. they believe everything. I hate to say it like that, y'all, and I hope none of y'all are taking it personally. I don't know who's listeners who wear masks, but I'm just saying in my vicinity where I'm at, it lets me know what they're working with, you know. And again, it's just a follow the leader mentality. It's just a I do I'm a very subordinated type of person. And just tell me what to do. I'll do whatever I told to do. And that is going to be we American Indians can't afford to be that any longer. It is your own funeral. It is your own funeral. You can't afford to be blind followers anymore. Look where it got us. All they got to do is just, which they already started, but the genocide protocols are, in effect. We got certain billionaires all up in the food. I heard now that Mr. Gates of Hell is going to start doing something with McDonald's French fries. Did y'all hear that one? So find out what the people are eating, and that's how you get to most of the people. If they love them McDonald's French fries, then I got to do something with French fries, McDonald's French fries. So it's like, who in a system that we have with all these alleged checks and balances, is there anything to check a rabid billionaire? No. He pays for what he wants, right? And people that are supposed to be your quote unquote civil servants, who they serving though? Their own pockets? It looked like that to me. I mean, if you're gonna let a billionaire get to our food supply, why? Why? Why do you do that? For money? Do you even care what's happening to the food? Do you care? I mean, you do have to eat, don't you? So you gonna play the duck dodge game? You willing to do that? Well, I guess they already know that they have these special places to go. I'm sure the leaders in this corporation, they must have a special store they go to where they don't have, just leave our shit alone. No, we'll let you do it. Just leave our shit alone. But you say when you finish, they're gonna do everything we want them to do without question because of the little bots. Oh wow, that man, I really would like to see how that works. Can you do it quicker? So yeah, we're peaceful American Indians, but my God, we gotta be careful. It's just they're just trudging forward. The doctrine of discovery was repudiated. And unless Indians say something about that, this system is going to keep on going. And apparently, again, the church, they did wash their hands of it, but I think somehow they still kind of benefit from people allowing a system to dominate them like this, even though they repudiated the doctrine of discovery. People have to grab that because it's just going to sit there. Um, So this is Peter Jericho. He's the attorney that like to say he peeked behind the curtain and saw the great and powerful Oz was really just a Negro Moor. Uh, and he's telling us about what sovereignty is. It's now you see it, now you don't. Um, we may need to take a break because this is a long, lengthy video. We were working our way to something which was going to basically look at the document on trust and estates. But I think we may have to save that for another video because this is getting a bit lengthy. But I kind of like where we've been. So at this point, I want to say we're going to revisit this document. Uh, But for now, we might either take a permanent pause till next video, or we'll pick up because right now I do feel like I need to take a break, y'all. I'm so sorry. But we're trying to, roll with what the spirit of the ancestors uh, is giving. So let's put a page holder on it for now. And I do apologize. We're going to get there. I thank you for taking the time to watch so far. I think if I don't return, I'm going to say be and stay American till next time. Now, if I do return, that will be voided. If I don't, that's why I said it. Yeah, y'all. It's like I didn't realize I kind of been going heavy and think I need to take a break. But depending on how the break goes, I may just have to pick up later on today, or yeah, or late into the evening, perhaps just before morning. Okay, all right. So for now, let's break here. Thank you so much.